Blog Talk Radio.
Here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, boxing fans joining us around the world. It's time for the bout you've all been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
Here, man, we dedicate our lives to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We have attitude, we rooting, and we go into that fight to lay it on the line.
Boxing fans, this is the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast. I am your host, Chris Carlson. We are live on a Tuesday night. I almost said Wednesday. Live on a Tuesday, so it's pretty much on schedule, right? It's probably a little early compared to what I normally do, but I'm sure the West Coast appreciates that. Welcome back to the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast. Lots to talk about, obviously. Canelo and Kovalev. I mean, wow, right? Lots to talk about when it covers that. And actually, just double checking here on something, so it's taken me a second to make sure. Okay, there we go. So anyway, like I said, we are going to start with recap, obviously, from Canelo and Kovalev. We're going to actually break down the fight round by round first. And then we'll get into the other items, and I'm sure people know what I mean by that. There's a whole lot of chatter when it came to this fight. No doubt. I mean, tons of talk. And a lot of people were talking about they think it's fixed, whether the actual fight, whether it was just a knockout. There's a lot of opinions. You know what I mean? A lot of opinions on this one, clearly, right? So we're going to try to cover all of it. We're going to try to cover all, but like I said, we're going to start, in the ring. Actually, well, I suppose the knockout was in the ring, wasn't it? But you know what I mean. We're going to start actually breaking the fight down. But as far as just the fixed stuff anyway, it was, it's interesting. Let's put it that way. It's very interesting. Some people just think, no way, it's not fixed. Everything's fine. Everything's on the up and up. It was just a guy aging, and his punch resistance is gone. He was hurt, and Canelo's an accurate puncher, and that's all she wrote. Some people think the layers of conspiracy to me were a little funny, and I'll tell you why. Because some people said, well, I didn't think the actual fight was fixed, just the knockout. And it's like, well, if the knockout's fixed, then it is a fixed fight. You can't have it. You can't go both ways like that. You know what I mean? You're like, which one is it? Like, or they say, well, I think that the fight itself was fixed because Kovalev was using his jab, but he wasn't throwing it really, really hard, right? I think that's pretty fair. He was throwing right hands from time to time, but he wasn't throwing that patented right hand. And so people thought, well, he was told not to do this. So it was all scripted. But the whole thing as far as, well, he did get knocked out, but the fight was fixed. Like the action, like the rounds. So that it's kind of a variety of stuff that people are believing or not believing. And like I said, you saw it on Twitter. You definitely saw it on YouTube. I watched a couple of YouTube videos just to see what they had to say. And then all over the Facebook groups. I mean, that's where it really was. So, it is what it is. I'm going to address it all. But yeah, like I said, if you thought the fight was fixed, That's your own opinion. I'd like to, I'd like you to back it up with some, not just evidence, but with some detail. You know what I mean? The one that stands out to me as far as the conspiracy stuff was his knees never went down, and you saw pictures on Twitter and, thumbnails on YouTube and, of course, throughout the boxing Facebook groups. Excuse me while I grab a little iced tea. You saw Kovalev, and the reason why it's fixed is because his knees never touched. How do you get knocked out cold, but your knees aren't touching? Well, it was a still shot. Whether they got it from somebody else or they did it themselves, if you actually watch the fight, and of course the knockout, his knees did touch. What are you talking about? He was on both of them. But you have this little still thumbnail that you're going with. So that's the problem with some of this stuff, where you're just like, dude, if you're going to go with that theory, give me something. I'm an open-minded person. I'll listen to everything. And when it comes to fixing, if you've listened to the podcast, we have a wide variety of opinions in general, but especially when it comes to this, the fixed stuff. Some people, think all fights are fixed, or most of them are. Some people think it's just here and there, just like judging, right? They find the right judge. Some people think it's just a bag of money. I happen to not think that. I just think you get perks as a judge, and people know who the house judges are. If you have an aggressive fighter, then you're going to go after the judge in the local, the local athletic association, right? The state athletic association, that they have a pool in which they grab from, right? Especially for the big fights too. And so they just know, okay, this person's here. Look at the judges in this one. There was a judge that had, I believe it was a draw, but one of the clearest rounds for Golovkin in that first fight anyway, he didn't have that. He didn't have it. He had it for Canelo. And, even Bird, who had it 10-2, had that one for Golovkin. So anyway, but as far as fixed fight goes, we know they exist. Some of it's just a fighter cashing out. And it's not a quote-unquote fixed choreographed fight. It's here's some money that you get in your purse. It's a fat contract or fat purse. In this case it was. And I'm just going to take some good punches and then be done. We see that throughout the year. Any given year you see that. So some people, when they get older, they look to cash in. Or sometimes the promoter looks to cash out, right? We've seen that. So I don't really look at that as a fixed fight, because it's just some dude not wanting to take any more punishment and he's out. And that is some bullshit sometimes. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes someone has taken a ton of punishment and it's okay to take a knee. When we're talking about the Kovalev thing, could he have taken a knee after, all those, I shouldn't say all those body shots like it was just combos of body shots, but there was a lot of counters. Could it be that he was hesitant and that's why he never opened all the way up? It seemed that way watching it in the ring, but when we're talking about fixed fights, and if you're going to close your mind to a fixed fight all the way, just listen to me about one item, okay? Over-unders. The over-under for rounds makes you suspicious, to say the least. And it's something that Mark 310, who's going to be on here, like I said, anyone listening to this podcast, they know 310, Mark is coming. They know it, right? And, I'm going to let him say his piece. I'm going to let other people say this piece. This is kind of how the show started damn near, over 10 years ago, actually, which is kind of crazy. I forgot to bring that up. But look at the over-under on rounds and look at when some of these fights are stopped. It's pretty coincidental. It's a coinky-dink, right? It's a coincidence. Is it not? I don't know. But just looking at the over-unders and seeing when some of these stoppages, especially the take-a-knee stoppages, sometimes it makes you go, yeah, dude, that I actually would have to agree with that or whatever. Or, I do agree when people just bail out of a fight when you could see it. Nah, they're not that hurt. But it's tough to tell sometimes. But, yeah, the over-under on rounds is pretty crazy. Now, the rebuttal to that would obviously be, college football, for instance. I bet in that. We talk about it on my college ball show, right? The college football show that we go against the spread. We talk all these betting lines. And sometimes you go, there's no way that team's 17 points better. And then they play in Vegas, they win by 18 or 21, and Vegas was right. So the over-under is not a catch-all, yep, this is it, but it does make you go, like that song from, the late 80s, early 90s, things that make you go, And, I've actually talked maybe too much about it early in this show, but it just, like I said, I think some of it was how abrupt it was as well. That knockout, no matter what you say, was abrupt. It was quick. Now, you could say 2 years ago or a year ago, last year, I guess, when he lost to the other Alvarez, right? Well, that was abrupt too. Now, not this abrupt, but then again, Canelo is a sharper puncher. So, that one was very abrupt. That one was definitely very abrupt. So, I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. And, some people just have a difference of opinion. And like I said, I like to try to keep an open mind and really look at it and go, okay. And that comes to anything, not just in boxing or something like that. But I do want, evidence and things that back it up. And a lot of times online, that's just not, that's not happening. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not happening. So, like I said, the knee thing, to sit there and have a thumbnail and say, this is the reason why, this is why it was fixed, because he never he never touched his knee. He just sat there. It's impossible to do that. And to me, that's where you're like, all right, dude, first of all, he did. Okay, so stop right there. But anyway, like I said, we are going to break that down. We'll break down some stuff from the weekend as well. There was some other fights, Showbox, ESPN, FS1. None of them really were that meaningful because, they weren't going to book it on this type of date with Canelo and all that. But, yeah, there wasn't a ton of great fights by any stretch of the imagination, but you didn't need one because you had this. Now, we're also going to address the DAZN's reasoning for bowing down, taking a knee to the UFC, which is exactly what they did, and delaying it, especially for it was late here. It was, I think, what was it, 116 or 118 or 110 or something like that on the East Coast. And I definitely heard from plenty of East Coasters that were really pissed off, especially when it's this type of fight. It's Canelo, for Christ's sake. You see Canelo and Kovalev just lounging on the couch in the locker rooms. Like, I don't know, man. It's crazy to me that their campaign, their marketing campaign, was to kill pay-per-view. Pay-per-view is dead. Don't you know? Everybody knows. It's dead, right? And then they hold off their fight that they have Canelo, the number one guy in boxing, one of the most popular combat sports guys, period, and you're going to hold off on it. When I first heard it, I said, that's not a bad idea. But then I asked a couple UFC fans. See, I'm a super casual UFC fan now. I used to be just a casual fan, like mid-2000s to late 2000s. I would rent them with my friends from time to time and watch the stuff on Spike or whatever, from time to time. And once in a while DVR one or whatever, I was a casual fan. Now I'm, like I said, a super casual fan, and I barely watch it, right? Just to be honest. And there's so much more boxing on now. The last 3 to 5 years, that's probably a lot of it. Plus, they just went too crazy on the pay-per-views. Like so many of them, you can't get to. I think they got to 12 in a year. I mean, that's ridiculous. Not even boxing did that. And boxing messes up. But anyway, once I started saying, okay, well, because the pay-per-views I was used to were done by like 10:30. I mean, sometimes the pay-per-view can be 2.5 hours long tops for UFC, and that's kind of what I remembered. And I started talking, and they said, no, it's usually past a chunk past 11 on the East Coast, at least. So it could be 11:15, 11:30. That's generally now when those pay-per-views starts. Then I thought, wow, okay, so they're not going to be done by 10:20, and I'm talking about Central Time, so 11:20. They're going to be, just getting going at that time. And I thought, And then you started to see it. I was at work because other people took the night off for UFC before I could take the night off for Canelo because, of course, they took it off in advance, because I thought I didn't know Canelo was fighting on this date, a chunk of months ago or whatever. So that was kind of funny too. But I worked it, and I started, some people at the bar were paying attention to it, and some people in the back or a bartender, coworkers, whatever. And we're talking, and we're seeing how many more fights have to happen, and you're like, dude, this is not going to be good. And I kept thinking, man, it is going to be late. And then I see some people streaming it on, their phones at the bar, and I'm looking at the time like, dude, this is going to be late. So that was pretty crazy. And then they say, they had over 100,000 people log in after the fight to watch the Canelo fight live. But when they say log in, that means they were already DAZN subscribers. And when you're talking about an app, you're talking about streaming. It's called archive or rewind. I've watched the DAZN card just when I walked in my house, and it was over, and I just closed my eyes, turned the volume off, and hit rewind for a long time and watch the main event or the co-feature in the main event. You could do that, but it's funny, so was it for new subscribers or was it for people that subscribed that, it was kind of strange how that worked. And then if you are going to, if it did indeed, and we don't have any facts with this, but if it did indeed help you and you got a surge of new subscribers, you might as well have just shut up. You might as well just took it on the chin and said, you know what, we're happy though. Instead of going to the media, a couple media members, and put out news saying, yep, we're really happy, Or are you? Because, there's at least well over 100,000 people signed up that are really pissed. And, a lot of people, I don't know, it was kind of weird to do all that. But like I said, we are going to talk round by round. I just got done saying we're going to talk round by round, and then I start talking about the other stuff, huh? Funny how that works. But we'll talk about a variety of stuff. We'll look towards, what would that be, Thursday, 6 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time, Inoue and Donaire. The Monster returns. There's a good co-feature with that, too. That actually is that might be a more interesting fight, potentially. But also Jamal Herring, and Jamal Herring. And Lamont Roach Jr. on Saturday. So we'll take a look at, the schedule. And then, of course, we'll have some news. The Ruiz-AJ card is starting to shape up the undercard. Some good fights there. Some fake news by Chris Mannix, which was pretty irresponsible. And he, as far as I know, he didn't say anything else beyond that. A fight at 130 that I think would be a good fight to happen is in talks for January 31st. I'll let you know. Gosh, look at Luis Ortiz. I know a lot of people in the last month when they've seen him on camera, at a fight or something like that. I think it was Spence Porter, actually. They said he looked fat and everything like that. I didn't see that at all, but now we know he's not fat because we're starting to see the fight camps come out more. And he's looking in good shape. I'll talk a little bit about that as far as his weight and whatnot. And then J-Rock got his fight finalized for January 18th. I'll give you a little bit more. And Devin Haney. Unfortunately, Devin Haney just got his opponent for the fight coming up this weekend. And, of course, Kasai and Paul, or whatever the fuck, Logan Paul. I actually did watch the first fight, though. I'll admit it, because my nephews at the time, what was that, last summer? One was one was in ninth grade, one's in seventh or sixth grade. So at the time, I did actually watch the first fight. Not really, pumped up or whatever. Anyway, if this is your first time listening to the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast, it streams live right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope-A-Dope Radio. So it streams live at Archives. It's basically the headquarters. But if you want to listen to the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast, which it leads with boxing and has football shows too, and basketball in the spring and summer and whatnot, college basketball and NBA, yada, yada, yada. But if you want to listen to it, you can find it anywhere, whether it's iTunes, rate and review the show. That really helps. Player FM, Spreaker, Stitcher. You can also find us on the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network, which can be found everywhere, including iHeartRadio. In fact, you can use your Siri or Alexa through Spotify or TuneIn to find it. And while you're at it, head on over to thegruelingtruth.net. That's thegruelingtruth.net. They got a great sponsor over there, betnow.eu, with the promo code TGT. That's betnow.eu, promo code TGT, as in the Grueling Truth. So it's boxing, it's football, it's basketball, it's baseball, it's everything in between. And real quick, now that the fall is in full swing, you're probably looking for a basic cable package. Maybe you're thinking about cutting the cord. Maybe you cut the cord, and you're just not happy. Try AT&T TV now. I do it myself. There is a 7-day free trial. There's no annual contracts. However, the plans start as low as $50 a month. That's with HBO included. You can stream it everywhere. They have the cloud DVR, so that's AT&T TV now. It's cable streaming. Okay, let's get into this. Like I said, it's so funny. That's a boxing fan for you. I'm not going to talk about this until we actually talk about the action in the ring. Oh, wait, I just did, didn't I? I just freaking did. I already gave viewpoints of what I've seen online. And like I said, fixed fights have happened throughout time. Obviously, look at Jake LaMotta. He's a guy that didn't want to mess with the mob, but that's the only way he got a title fight. And he had a great career after that. It's not like your traditional fixed fights. You know what I mean? I really think it's somebody cashing out as a fighter, and they'll take some punishment, and then they're done. And we see it on every level. It's not just some big name level, right? It's that, but it's not just that. It's definitely not just that. We see it on prospect levels all the time. We see late notice guys come in there. Their body looks like, to be honest, not great. And you could tell that, they just got the call, so they're just trying to show up, make it account for themselves. You can't just walk out of the ring like, oh, boy, that happened here in Minneapolis. And you make it account for yourself, and you move on, and you take your check. So you see that, like I said, with aged guys, journeymen, you see that. But as far as all the way 100% fixed, that's where I just need some detail in it. You know what I mean? And I can understand why people think, like I said, the abruptness of this stoppage. I get it. I do get it. I do get it, because it was like, oh my God, it's over. That's how quick it was. But as far as breaking down this fight, the first 4 to 5 rounds were pretty damn close. I did give Kovalev the first round. He controlled most of it until late. Canelo got in a couple shots, but it was mostly the jab. It's obviously like a broken record with Kovalev in this fight. Kovalev threw more jabs. Canelo in the second round, Canelo did jab a little bit more, went to the body a little bit. I still give Kovalev that second round. It was close, though. It was very close. Then I gave the third and fourth to Canelo. You could start to see, he would counter with his left hook in his right hand when that jab was coming. Kovalev closed that third round pretty well. It was a close round, and I thought you could see Kovalev pumping it a little bit more rather than just feeling it out. You know what I mean? Canelo, for me, was landing the better shots throughout the fight, but especially the fourth round, 2 late body shot, left in right hands. He kind of just whipping left hands. Like, I'm just going to hit any part of the body I can. And you could see that was a clear strategy. Fifth round, that was a close round. That was a round where, you could watch it again and rescore it. That one was close. Now, then I gave Canelo, after the fifth, I gave him the sixth and the seventh. He landed the flush of shots. He was countering to the body with both hands. And in the seventh, you had some jabs and finally even more pivoting, I thought, from Kovalev. But the head and body punching, mostly body punching, in the seventh round was Canelo. So I gave him that. Then I thought Kovalev made a nice little run. I gave him the eighth, and I gave him the ninth. The mid and late, you could see Kovalev finally started pushing the pace like he knows how to do. I could see starting out in the opening rounds kind of lightly, and hey, I gave him the first 2 rounds, so it obviously was going good, but at some point, you can't let the smaller dude, just keep stalking you down. And he was very hesitant like that. I thought Kovalev closed better in the 9th round too, although that was a competitive round. Kovalev late, Canelo early and late. So I think I gave him the 10th. That was a close round, though, another close round. The 11th round, that's obviously where it all stopped. Canelo hit him with the left hook to the body first, then like a chopping overhand right. That kind of made him, it wobbled his feet a little bit, or his legs, but then he skirted out of there a little bit, to the right, and then it was a left hook that seemed like it really, it landed on his ear, it looked like. I don't think that landed on his chin. It was like ear, neck time, and so that's the argument here. Are these shots big enough to wobble Kovalev that bad? When we've seen him wobbled, we've seen him, with Andre Ward really broke him down mostly to the body, then hurt him up top, then he basically submitted him, right, in the second fight. Because he had him on the rope. Kovalev was, covering his head and covering his body because he was leaning forward and slumped on the rope. There was no target to land. So he basically submitted. That's what happened in that fight. I know people want to say he just hit him in the dick 80 times, which is not true. Yeah, some of them straight low, some of them were on the belt, some of them were completely legit, and they got hurt. You know what I mean? So, but the other fight, the Alvarez fight, not this, what is his name? Eldiri, or I forgot how to say his name. But, that one was, I thought Kovalev was winning that fight 4-2, I think it was. Was it the 7th round he got stopped? But then he got hurt. He got up and then got hurt again, and it was over. So it wasn't as abrupt as this one, but it was fairly abrupt. And then, he almost got knocked out in his last fight. So is it punch resistance, or is it a fixed fight? Is it all choreographed, or is it Kovalev taking the dive and just saying, you know what, this is my pension plan, it's my retirement fund, I'm done, I'll just do it. That's what's hard to decipher sometimes when you look at this stuff, to be honest with you. Now, we know that his punch resistance is going down, especially to the body. And I don't have the CompuBox body shots, but the amount of power shots he threw just in and around the body, whether it's on the shoulder, whether it's on the gut, on the side, in the nipple, in the chest, in the stomach, most of them were just winging hard shots, and you could tell it was affecting him. Now, a lot of people are saying, hey, why was Canelo not throwing his freaking right hand hard? He did early in the fight a little bit, but it was mostly jabs. And as the fight wore on, the jabs were just touch jabs and field jabs. And yeah, he doubled and tripled them up, but how many of them had zip on them? And was that just survival mode? Was this whole fight survival mode? You know, after the fight, he was quoted saying, "I wish I had more rest." Well, we knew that going in. And as far as, you know, just looking at this from an open mind, I'm basically throwing a bunch of stuff on the wall and seeing what sticks, what makes sense, that type of thing. And if you start to go, well, what can mess up your punch resistance? The Ward fight, right? The Alvarez fight, in his last fight. And then, you know, maybe it's just one of those, he's a shell of himself. But it's hard to be a shell of yourself when you're in the fight. Now, it did kind of seem like he was a shell of himself at times because he wasn't landing that right hand. But when you look at the fight, it's undeniable that, you know, Canelo would hit him really hard back after he would land his little soft jabs. So was he paranoid about that? Those body shots started adding up. You saw discomfort and all that. But, you know, it's tough. It's a tough one. Some people are 100% sold that this is hands down the whole thing choreographed. Like I said, some people use that, well, his knees never touched that thumbnail, you know, still picture that if you run the whole tape, he clearly is on his knees for a good chunk of it. He wasn't just knocked out, not, you know, touching his knees. That's just stupid. At least give me something. You know what I mean? But I'll go back to that, you know, the over-under. The over-under, you know, when you look at over-unders, and that's something that we talked about with 310 Mark here a lot. And when you look at the over-unders, dude, it's hard. Like, even if you say, oh, I don't believe any conspiracy theory, theories are theories. Did this person conspire with that conspire? You know, forget this conspiracy. Let's just look at evidence and facts and what's right before us, okay? Did the fight end abruptly? Yes. Were you pretty shocked when it happened? Yes, of course you were. Did some people didn't realize Kovalev was stumbly because it wasn't like one of those way stumbly. You could just see he couldn't quite get his footing. You know, but like I said, a left hook, when you're already kind of lit up from a right hand, then a left hook hits you in the side of your ear. We've seen plenty of people wobble after that. Does that mean they're hurt? Sometimes no, sometimes yes. Sometimes you can't recoup from an earshot or a back of the head or side of the head, right? Sometimes you can't. So, but you got to ask yourself at the end of the day, just look at these stoppages, especially when they're the TKO stoppages. Not necessarily this one, but look at the stoppages when they happen. Now, like I said, this one ended up abruptly, so maybe it just got, you know, it got there just in time. But a lot of it looks I think more shady when you're taking a knee, and then you're taking a knee, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, so the fight ended once again. You know, and I'm going to let 310 expand on his thoughts on this fight. But like I said, just going over some of the stuff that people have been talking about, you know, it doesn't make sense to say the fight wasn't fixed, but the knockout was, or the knockout wasn't fixed, but the fight was, based off Kovalev not looking like he wanted to really go for the win. Did Kovalev fight to win? That's the big thing. Did Kovalev fight to win? Well, I gave him 4 to 5 rounds. I gave him 4 rounds cleanly. I thought he won 4. I thought it was 6-4 going into the 11th, or 5-5 potentially. I didn't think it was 7-3. That's for sure. The first, second, 8th, 9th, I'm pretty damn confident there that Kovalev won those. Now the second round was a close one. A lot of these were close. There wasn't a ton of punches thrown either. So Canelo was kind of making his punches count, whereas Kovalev would just stick in his jab. So at the end of the day, like I said, I had it 6-4 Canelo. I could see 5-4-1. I could see 5-5. I can't see 6 rounds to Kovalev. So that's the question you have to ask yourself. Was he trying to win the fight? Well, I gave him 4 rounds, so yeah, but then again, he did fight very tentatively. Now, his style ever since that Kovalev Ward rematch, since that fight, has changed, though. And they did say, the corner, right, he did say that they're not going to worry about being the bigger guy in this fight. They're not going out there to be the bigger guy. They want to be the better guy, and they want to stay with this style of fighting that's got him back up out of the Ward fight. Well, actually, the Alvarez fight after that, too, because he got knocked out that one, came back, and may have put on his best overall performance after that, one of them anyway, because he fought really cleanly in that fight. So you got to ask yourself, was he trying to win the fight really? Or, like I said, or was he just like, I got my retirement plan, dude. I got $12 million or whatever the hell he got. He got a ton of money. And, you know, I'm not here to tell you how to think. I'm not here to I'm telling you how I think, and I'm trying to kind of just gauge what people are talking about, look at their point, and that's exactly what we do here at the Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast, okay? So, you know, I mean, do I have to admit it looked funky? Yeah, it did. Now, I also have to admit that I've seen some other fights or endings that look funky, and other people that usually say that didn't think that. You know, sometimes these highlight reel knockouts look fake. You know, sometimes they don't. Maybe he did take the punch and it's a real punch. To me, it did end up abruptly. I've said that a million times. But when you look at that right hand and where it landed, he did, and you see the side view and the back view, he did punch through him. So that landed cleanly. And, God, what podcast was it? Someone was making a point about how, I think they were talking about Trinidad, and how some of his knockouts look fake, because you're like, how it just looks fake. It doesn't look real at all. And you know, I think we've all watched a fight and thought, is that a cash out? Is this fixed? Or just, like I said, just blatantly? It's just a matter of the layers of fixed. I think that's what it is. Was it 100% choreographed? Was it Kovalev just trying to sell it, getting his money and get the hell out of there? And he just had still enough pride somewhere in there to make it look good and actually take the punch? Because that's the one thing about this. If it is fixed, we all know a lot of people thought he was going to get knocked out. I thought it'd be more TKO, but I thought he'd make the distance, because Canelo at 175, I just didn't think he'd be able to hold any kind of power like that. But you are fighting. This might have been the last solid 10 rounds of Kovalev's career, and now he's a complete shell of himself. He could have had that after. I mean, he just fought August 24th. I know a lot of people like, this is what the old timers used to do. This is what yeah, you know, that's true. They did fight 10 times a year. But you know what? And this is all due respect, though. A lot of those dudes, defensive guys or not, came out with brain damage and couldn't speak correctly after that. And I'm not talking about proper English. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about speaking proper. I'm talking about slow. They came out slow. If you look at interviews back in the day, I mean, a lot of boxers had brain damage, clearly. So, you know, I don't know. Why take that shot? You could have taken a knee. Many people wouldn't be surprised. The majority of people wouldn't have been surprised if he would have just went down. I mean, he's hurt to the body. He's done. He just quit. Maybe like I said, maybe he had, you know, some more pride left, and he just said, screw it. I'm not going to make it look like I quit. I'm going to get punched hard, and then I can sell it. we've seen both Durrell brothers look like they faked it. Well, one did. It really looked like that. But you could say Andre Durrell faked it. Now, he took a bunch of time off after that. And so when you say he faked it for sure, in fact, back in the day, Rope-A-Dope Radio Podcast is the first one that got his story. And it was interesting and all that. But when you look at that, you're like, is he hurt or is he trying to get a disqualification? Clearly, Anthony Durrell with Gadaji was trying to get I mean, his brother even said, get down, like stay down, dude, so you could tell, and we've seen that plenty. So, like I said, there are other fights that we're going to talk about. We're going to scan through some of it, but we're not going to get too detailed with that. And that's later. I'm going to actually I'm just going to make sure. Oh, what the hell? That doesn't make sense. Okay, anyway, sorry about that. By the way, the number to dial is 646-381-4990. That's 646-381-4990. That is the number to call. If you're on right now, just press 1, and we'll let you in if you want to, give your take on this fight. A lot of people have a lot of takes, and not just whether it was a conspiracy or not, but the actual fight and how it played out too. Because not every, plenty of people don't. I saw several boxers, and talk to somebody, or actually text them, and they thought it was. But, a boxer, you could say sometimes, a boxer knows, more. Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes they don't watch fights, though, so they don't know as much. They know more about boxing. But there were plenty of boxers that thought that. I didn't see too many media members. I saw part-time media members, but not like full-time. I get paid 100%, or, the bulk of your income is boxing. I didn't see too many of those people doing it, and that's not really a big surprise either. But, I understand. I do understand it on this one. I'm not saying, oh, yeah, Cove took a dive. Because to me, it did look like he got punched through. So if he faked his wobble and just got punched all the way cleanly through, then he's going like I wish everybody would take a dive like that. You know what I mean? Instead of the obvious one. I mean, besides the journeymen, like I said, who get the call 6 days before the fight, those dudes, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? They already know they're going in there for slaughter. It is what it is. So, yeah, like I said, the people on right now, if you want to press 1, I'm not going to go to you. You don't have to hang up or anything like that. But if you press 1, I will let you in and talk and all that. But like I said, most people like to just kind of hang out and listen, and that's cool too. You could take the show with you, 646-381-4990. We have a little under 50 minutes left of the live stream. Really looking forward to hearing a variety of opinions on this one. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Just making sure the switchboard, I just refreshed it, so we're good there. Oops. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in 310. It's a special show tonight because of that fight. And so we're going to get right to it. We're getting right to it. 310, Mark. What's going on, buddy? How the hell are you, sir? How you doing?
What's going on? What's going on, Chris? Hey, man.
Not a whole lot, man.
Yeah. Apparently now we're WWE fans and not fucking boxing fans. This is the problem. This is what the hell's going on. I mean, here's the thing. I'm glad that I called in a little, because I listened to you speak for, a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And here's the issue. And I know you know this. You're just, I understand your position. I get it. You know what I mean? And to all the listeners out there, trust me, Chris Carlson knows that this is a 100% dive and 100% choreographed fight. Trust me. He knows. But, yeah, dude, it's not about the knockout being fake. The knockout was real because he let him hit him. That's the whole thing. This is the situation that I addressed. When was it? last year, I said that there's a new issue that I wanted to at least put out there. I think it was like the New Year's show last year, and I talked about long dives and how it's becoming a real big problem. It may have been even longer ago.
It may have been even longer ago that you brought this up. And it started with Golovkin, too. Started with Golovkin, too, as far as those fake knockouts, and he's not the power puncher that everybody thinks he is. And then when he got to that level, he wasn't. Go ahead.
Yeah, true. But Golovkin, the guys who were taking dives against Golovkin, that was a little bit different. You know what I mean? Those are like, you know, your traditional types of dives. You know, that's the reason why people look at this and they don't understand what to think. They're like, oh, the knockout looked real. Oh, he really got hurt. That was right on the chin. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But, dude, we know that it was anybody sitting here, and it makes me sick. You know, when I hear, you know, Teddy Atlas and all this shit, man. When I listen to his fucking podcast today, then his host says, the first thing he says is the most honest man in boxing. And he doesn't even fucking mention it. He's sitting there talking. There's a guy who knows boxing in and out. He knows boxing in and fucking out, okay? I said when this fight was first announced back in July, way back before anyone suspected anything, I was the first one. As soon as I heard it, I said immediately, that fight is going to be fake. It's going to be one of the fakest fights that we ever see, right or wrong. So I said way long, before they even, way before they even announced the Yard fight when they were negotiating.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, and
that's why I like talking it through. I like talking this through because a lot of people will either be with you and siding with you, or people will just shut down any argument about conspiracies and dives and this type of thing, which that's not true. You know, you can't just do that either, and that's why I like to kind of piece by piece talk this out, because you're actually bringing your thoughts and you're bringing pieces of evidence that say this is why, instead of the knee thing, so to speak. The knee thing is stupid.
Exactly.
Like, dude, he did go to his knee, dummy. Look at the tape. But, you know, it all harkens back. A lot of this harkens back to the over-under numbers, and that's undeniable.
Exactly. And a lot of people are not going to – I mean, that's the reason why anybody who's even questioning whether or not this fight was real, and you're a moron, okay? Like, you're an idiot. You don't understand. I mean, like, just fucking stop listening to this shit right now, because this is for the grown-ups, and you got to, you know, go back to watching your whatever the fuck you're doing with your life. You know, like, that has not – like, people like that, I can't even fucking talk to them, because it's like – dude – the over-under was 10.5, and if you don't believe me, you think I'm making that shit up again, it's like, dude, I uploaded it. If anyone wants to see it, go to imgur.com/user/Kovalev dive, and it's fucking posted. You'll see the over-under before the fight is 10.5. It's a universal over-under, yes. Different sites give you a variety of different over-unders, but the over-under around the world was 10.5. And I mean, like, when you go to, like, the sites that don't normally do over-unders because it's a big fight, that was the over-under. Like, this was the big over-under. That's what I mean by the main over-under, okay? And I think that, like, when I mentioned long dives, you know, I think it just went in one ear and out the other, and people didn't pay attention to it because they thought that I was just hating on Deontay Wilder. No, it wasn't. Like, I saw what Luis Ortiz did in that fight, and he's just a hell of a lot better of an actor than fucking Sergey Kovalev. And what I was mentioning about fucking Teddy Atlas, it's like, dude, how can you sit there and look at those jabs and fucking, like, not – I mean, yeah, we can sit there all day and, like, be like, oh, this is what Sergio Mora said. Oh, they said that the corner said this and said that. That's a whole other issue that I'll get into that makes it even more ridiculous, the fact that so many fucking people are in on it. You got Buddy McGirt in on it. You got all the announcers in on it. You got Sergio Mora sticking up for him. You got all this shit going on. We all know it was a fake fucking fight. How did I know it was a fake fight? I knew that if Canelo was to fight Kovalev, he would get knocked the fuck out in 1 or 2 rounds. Now, if that wasn't true, why the hell was he hitting him like he was a flyweight? He's so fucking afraid to hit him. He would have knocked him out in fucking 2 rounds. I don't pay attention. Like, I'm different than these boxing fans. They don't really have a fucking mind of their own. You could tell they just go off of, they listen to one guy that they think that he's right all the time, and they run with that. They hear Teddy Atlas say something, they fucking run with that. They hear one boxer say something, they run with that. They don't have a mind of their own. They have no confidence in themselves. They don't believe in themselves. They don't trust their own mind. And that's the whole issue. Like, they went off on this whole thing saying, like, oh, Canelo's going to stop him. Canelo's going to stop him. Based off fucking what? Why the fuck would Canelo ever stop Kovalev? Ever? Are you fucking kidding me? He would get knocked the fuck out in 1 or 2 rounds. That's a light heavyweight. Everything about this fight was fake. Even Sergey's stance. He even hunched over extra to make it look like he wasn't that much bigger than fucking Canelo the entire time. And he moved with him the entire time to make it look like it was – he could have easily knocked him out with a jab within the first 2 or 3 rounds. No bullshit. This is not exaggerating. This is why I knew it was going to be fake. And I knew that Sergey was going to be a horrible actor because he was, like, in the interviews before, you could tell he was going to be a horrible actor. He didn't even know what to say. He was like, well, this is a chance for him to come up and, make history. Like, he was saying ridiculous shit that it's like, dude, come on, man. You're taking a dive. You got to fucking play the part. Like, it's just, what concerns me about it is just, like, it's not just the fans, but it's like, I just can't believe that they're going this far. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to take a dive, like you said earlier, do it like the guy that takes fucking the fight on 6 days' notice. Go down on a fucking body shot in the first or second round. Don't make a deal with a fucking casino, with the gambling organization, and what do you know? He took a dive right at the over-under, and it's not like he was making the money on it. So he took a dive right past the over-under, midway through the 11th round, right when the over-under went over, and that was minus 220, mostly minus 250 in places. So that doesn't mean that means that Sergey, it's not like he was throwing money on it himself. He made a fucking deal with the fucking casinos, and this is the problem with boxing. This is the problem with boxing. Like, Floyd showed the blueprint when he did that with Conor McGregor. He waited right until the over/under, and then he knocked him out. You see Conor looking at the time because he was inexperienced. Like, this is what they do. That's the problem. If they think that people, like, they keep on thinking that they can get away with this shit, it's like, I understand there's that much money, but you cannot do this to – you really can't do this to fans. It's really not funny. Like, in the beginning, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is like – and I was laughing about it, but then I was like, this really isn't funny because if I want to watch something fake, dude, WWE all the way because at least that's a great storyline. It's fucking like if you want to watch something fake, that's amazing. That's awesome. Like, that's entertaining. You know what I mean? Just sit down and watch WWE for a couple weeks, and trust me, you'll get hooked. There's a reason why I have so many pay-per-view buys and so many viewers. You know what I mean? Like, don't do this. It's beyond like a fucking black eye to the fucking sport. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous, and everyone always jumps onto the wrong issue. They're talking about the knockout, not but Canelo really knocked him out. What the fuck difference does that make? He allowed him to knock him out. That makes it even worse. He's choreographing. He's trying to make it look real. He's trying to fool you. Like, he did fool you. Like, how does it not piss you off? Like, come on, man. Like, is it about winning? Is it about being the best? Or is it about fucking putting on a show for everybody? If you're going to do that, shit, just script the whole thing and let's just do some WWE shit. Like, like, that's how I feel about it. We see these fights like Porter and Spence, and it's like, such a great fight. Two guys clearly trying to win, and then you see this shit, pity-pat jabs, when a guy, and all these fans are sitting there like, oh, I told you. I knew he was going to, my prediction was right. Even Teddy Atlas sitting there. My prediction was right. How is your prediction right? You were completely wrong. Canelo would never knock him out, ever. In a million fucking years, ever. The fight was fucking fake as hell. Like,
I definitely was surprised, especially that vicious of a knockout. A TKO wouldn't have shocked me because of the knee, like we talked about. But the how the hell is he holding his power at 175 when he hasn't been this huge knockout guy at 68 or 60 either?
The way that I understand it, and I know this is a weird way to sort of make a correlation between the two, but I relate it to chess. I play a ton of chess. Against a lot of professional players. I played a lot, a good 15, 20 hours a day. I'm way too addicted to it. But I equate it to that because it's like when you're playing chess and a person makes one wrong move, you're gonna mate them, you're gonna checkmate them, and that's it. It's over and done with. Especially if it's a 3 or 5 minute game. You have to view boxing like that. I mean, guys 160, guys 175. If you just give him the opening, he's gonna, that he's gonna get you right flush on the chin. This is how they think. They're throwing millions of punches throughout their lives and setting up traps for people. They know what the guy's gonna do if they drop their left hand, especially that later on in the fight. That's what people don't. I mean, it can't just look at it like, oh, it's like a lucky punt. No, he knew what he was doing. If you look at how much he hesitated and he stumbled and and Canelo jumped on it like, oh shit, this is when I'm supposed to do it. Okay, I'll do it. And Canelo wasn't even in shape. That's the hilarious part. This guy was, I don't know about people saying he was jacked. His fucking body fat was a solid 22%. Canelo looked like shit. He was winded in the fucking 8th round. Didn't even train for the fight. Kovalev didn't even know what to do with him. He was like, what am I supposed to do? Remember in the 8th round, the whole crowd is booing? That was hilarious. You remember that,
the whole
Chris?
crowd was booing there, though. You're right, because he actually started coming forward, pushing the pace, and Canelo was on the outside then. It was really weird.
He took the round off, and then it was so clear. That's when I texted you, and I was like, I don't care if you're not watching live. This is insane. And I just went off on the whole tangent, and I was texting because I was like, dude, it's fucking you had Sergey just in front of him. And he was just like, what do I do, man? Dude, you got to come forward. You got to make it look better than this, man, because I could knock you out right now if I really wanted to, and it's starting to get obvious. It was so one of those types of situations that. It was come on, man. It makes you wonder, how often is this going on? You know what I mean? Okay, for $12 million, fuck, I can't blame. I'm not going to sit here and call fucking Kovalev a scumbag. You know what I mean? I would do the same thing for $12 million, especially what he's been through in his career. And, I don't know, how much did he get paid for the Ward fight? $2 million? He got screwed on that,
he's
right?
got the short end of the stick over and over again. His promoters just shitted on him that way, or he just said, "Screw it, let's just take the fight." So he definitely needed a retirement plan.
Yeah, that's why I don't view him as and I don't take any credit away from Canelo. He's just doing what his promoters are telling him to do. I look at this. I can't believe how many scumbags are in the media or around these guys. Reporting, trying to because they knew how obvious that pity pat jab looked, so they immediately jumped on it and tried to be like, oh, he's doing that because he doesn't want to get countered. How the hell is he gonna get fucking countered? He has Sergey has a fucking 12-inch reach on fucking Canelo. How the hell is he gonna get countered? Are you kidding me? He couldn't even come close to him. You know what I mean? Sergey was allowing
he's got a 2-inch reach. He's got a 2-inch reach, just so you know.
Well, you know what I'm saying. He'd the way that he fights and the whole thing, but you know what I'm saying. It's he's not. If you were to put people it's because they're not. If just look at it and just don't pay attention to what anyone else says. Any of these trainers, any of these, never watch any interviews and just look at the way that the guys fight. There's no way. Canelo would have any chance. He would just be trying to step towards Sergey, and he would get knocked out in the first few rounds. Literally, what would happen to Canelo if we put him in there with better BF? That would be a serious health risk. They would never. Oscar would be that would be really fucked up for him to do that. And it's way too early in Better Be His career for him to take that kind of dive and put on a show like this. He's not going to do that yet. He's going to go in there and he'll be like, yeah, I'll take a dive, and he'll knock fucking Canelo the hell out. That's the type of fighter that Better Be His is. We're not going to see Canelo at 175 again. I don't know what his plans are. What is what did he say about that? Like, what are they planning on doing?
Well, he did say that that it is going to be hard to get back to 160 after putting muscle mass on, but he keeps saying that 160, 168, 175, yeah, like any of those, that's that whole WBC franchise belt. It allows you to go, you know, up and down those weight classes, I guess. But if he's going to fight at 160, he should return to 160 right now and get all those fights.
Well, no, I mean, if he goes to 160, he's going to lose to Andre. And I hope people don't think that I'm hating on fucking Canelo, because I was the one fucking, like, you know, I was the one.
No, you're not hating
the whole time. Yeah, like, people thought that I was lobbying for him when I was, you know, going on this whole GGG fucking hate shit, when it was really just, I was just hating on fake shit going on in the sport. Like, you know, it's not really about that. I mean, do you honestly think that he has a chance against any of these top 175 guys? I mean, honestly, Chris, honestly, all the bullshit politics aside, no one gives a shit. I mean, all your listeners, because they know they love this podcast, everyone does, no one's going to think any differently of you, Chris. Let's be honest.
You know, the way I look at it, I think Bivol has, I think the skill of Bivol can keep Canelo off him. I also think, and I also think that long jab and all that, and he's in his prime too, that helps. Not, you know, like on his last leg. But, and then Beterbiev, the power, you know, it would be tough for me to think that Canelo can take that power. I do disagree with you on Andre, though. I think Andre is a tad bit overrated. I don't see him as a outside Aristani Lara fighter. I don't think he'd have to cut the ring as much as people think. Again, I still don't think Canelo can cut the ring because he hasn't faced anybody like Mayweather or Aristani Lara since those fights. Whereas Andre, that would be his biggest challenge, is cutting the ring. It just, Andre fights to level so much. I think he's overrated. I wouldn't just give the victory to him, because he's got to really hurt Canelo to win the fight, right? Because you got to win what?
It would be controversial.
No?
It would be controversial for sure. It would be controversial, but I don't think that's a risk that they. I mean, he's had so many controversial fights. Everyone keeps on forgetting it. It's like they keep on saying that, oh, fucking Canelo, like, oh, he's in Vegas, he's gonna get it with the judges. No, now it's the opposite. Now the judges know, like. Now they're going to be judging against Canelo. Like, you know what I mean? Because they know, like, oh, shit, I shouldn't give that round to Canelo because now they're going to fucking think that I got paid off. Like, now it's the opposite. Like, you know what I mean? Like, unless Oscar really fucking puts money in their pockets, which I'm sure that he is. But, I mean, even when you look at these scorecards, right, it's something I forgot to touch on, man. Like, I know that you thought that, I mean, the scorecards are really meaningless because it was very obvious from the first round what Kovalev was doing. Kovalev is one of the best fighters that we've seen recently at 175 that can control range. You think somebody like Andre Ward had the problems that he had with Kovalev in their first fight for no reason? Are you fucking kidding me? And Andre Ward, compare his legs to fucking Canelo. I don't give a shit about, like, you know, like Kovalev's older and all that shit. You don't get, dude, why did he decide to stand at that range with Canelo the entire time? Like, you know, like, he literally moved with him the entire time. Like, forget about the pity-pat jabs that everyone's talking about. He moved with him the entire time and allowed him to get closer and closer and closer right from the sixth round on. How did people not realize this? All you got to do is just watch the fight. I noticed it the first time I watched it. I was like, wow. I didn't even want to watch it again. I did watch it again. But I didn't even want to watch it again because I was, like, embarrassed to even be, like, to have it on my fucking TV. I wanted to cancel my subscription. Because on top of that, then they're trying to hype up fucking KSI and Logan Paul, these YouTubers, the following week, like, so thirsty for subs. And it's like, dude, come on. Like, don't you guys get it? This is not 1977 anymore, man. You're not going to put you're not going to put Devin Haney in front of 20 million people, then all of a sudden they're gonna, then all of a sudden 1 million of them or 500,000 of them are gonna all of a sudden be like, wow, that's amazing. No, we all
Right.
have an opportunity to watch fucking boxing whenever we want to watch it. Whenever we want to fucking
Right.
watch it, we could watch it.
Plus, these guys have
It's
already
different
fought.
now.
These guys already fought, so that didn't change boxing. You know what I mean? That didn't change anything. They didn't, you know.
Yeah.
They're just trying to
But-
keep a percentage of people that are going to sign up for it. What'd you think of the bowing down to the knee in 1:18? Someone said from the East Coast, 1:18 in the morning. What'd you think of that? It's one thing to be like, try to maneuver, but once it's that late, you just gotta go, don't you? With Canelo, I mean, you had Canelo and Kovalev sitting on the sofas just chilling. That was crazy, dude. It was 100 minutes
A show.
between the co-feature.
A TV show.
Think about that. 100 minutes
If it
between the
was-
co-feature in the main event.
Insane. Yeah, I thought that I had missed it a couple times. I had it on in the background. I was like, is it really not on yet? And then you know how it was glitching for everybody? And I know it wasn't just my internet. I tried I have 6 different internet connections at my place just for random other shit that I do. So I switched out my thing. I was like, dude, there's no way. My internet's not slow. I tried for 4 different Wi-Fis, and I was like, no way. And then I text my brother, who lives in LA, and he was like, yeah, it's glitching for me too. I was like, it's weird. It was stopping and not loading. It was weird. But the fact that they started late just goes to prove even more that, hey, if this is a real competition, if Serena Williams or whoever, some tennis players going against some other, if it's supposed to be that big of a fucking event, you're going to put it on at the time that it's supposed to be on, and the people who are going to watch it, they're going to go back and fucking watch it. It's a streaming service for $10. You know, people are not oh shit, I got to grab this pay-per-view event live. No one's fucking saying that about DAZN. You can just grab it, watch it, and cancel it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's I thought that was ridiculous. That's just, but that's normal. I viewed that. I didn't even look at that as anything because we've seen Bob do that a lot of times with Manny. Remember when Manny was watching the Celtics game or something? He was watching some playoffs game for a while one time before a fight. It was the same type of deal, same type of situation was going on, but the finals or the playoffs were on or some shit like that. They've done this multiple times. They've made it very clear that they don't give a shit about the fans. Look at the undercards. You know what I mean? It's just all about hey, we can get them for the main event. Yeah, why waste money on the shit before if we already got them paying for the main event? And yeah, that's the whole thing. Is
they literally said that they put it out. I think the Coppinger or something. They fed him a story saying, well, we had over 100,000 people log in to watch the fight after the UFC, so that means they were already your subscribers then. What about the 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 people that were waiting for it? It's why would you
what about
put out that story?
Yeah, and what about the fact that it was fake? After the fight, I went over to this lounge down the street from me, and I was just kicking it there, it wasn't a crowded crazy, but people were talking about the fight. And these are MMA fans and shit that don't really watch boxing, and every single person was literally they're this is the reason why. One of the bartenders was see, this is the reason why I don't get involved in boxing. This fake shit. People that don't even watch boxing. Every single person that I spoke to was that was fake. Not knowing my viewpoints on dives and all that shit and the crazy shit I call into this podcast and say, literally people were saying that to me, and I was like, yeah, you thought that, right? Yeah, exactly. It was fake as hell. This is what random people that don't, the only people that think that it's real are people that, and I don't want to throw other, the people that just pay attention, they just listen or whatever, they just trust something that Chris Mannix says, and then or because Sergio Mora fucking said this shit, they don't realize that Sergio Mora's paycheck depends on Canelo looking like a star, so he has to say that. And Teddy Atlas, he can't go and say what he really feels, which he knows the fight was fake as hell, but he can't say that because how does that make his whole career look? This is his career is talking about boxing. So what are you going to do? Just talk about how your whole career is talking about a bunch of fake shit going on? You can't even say that if you're getting paid off of it. That's what people aren't realizing. I just, these other podcasts, Beeb, and I do like Beeb and stuff like that. But he's he's a type of person that he just isn't with the whole I mean I don't want to it's not just him. It's just but just that whole genre of fans that don't pay attention to. I feel like an asshole for bringing him up, but even still, because I had heard part of his podcast and I couldn't even listen to it, and a bunch of other stuff, not just him, Teddy Atlas, fucking everybody. That's what pisses me off the most. I mean, could you believe the shit with the announcers? I didn't even notice that until the second time around when I watched it. They were fucking literally the whole thing. Buddy McGirt was sticking up, he was trying to they're all knew that this is a fake fight the whole time, and they're trying to be okay, this is the reason why this is happening. Make sure that the fans don't fucking think one thing. Don't worry, if the trainer says something, if Sergio Mora says something, they're gonna believe it. The fans are gonna fucking believe it. It's there's no reason why. Okay, he could have been pity-patting jabs, so why is he purposely hitting fucking Canelo's gloves? Okay, what happened to fucking Kovalev's amazing stiff jab that's powerful, that knocks people the fuck down? What happened to that? Throwing it
I
with
agree
authority.
with that. I agree with that. I mean, where'd the jab go? And not just that, but why didn't you bring it to the stomach then if he was covering his face? You know what I mean? It's not like
Exactly.
Canelo's this great. He's got his high guard. It's not like he's a great defender. Canelo's got better of moving his head. That's about it.
But does he have better fucking movement with his head than fucking Andre Ward? No. I mean, it's dude, and it's there's no way. I mean, you had to have noticed how Kovalev was purposely hitting his gloves. He was going around and purposely just patting the side of his gloves. He wasn't trying to hit. He was making sure, hey, I got to make sure I don't hurt him because if I hit him once or twice, I'll knock this guy out. He's really, really small, and I really appreciate the payday that he's doing for me and the fact that I'm not going to go to jail for whatever he did to whatever girl or dog or whatever crazy shit that he did. He's just happy to get the money. You gotta think too with these boxers. What goes through your mind when you're hearing the Russian national anthem, and you know what we were all thinking when you're listening to the fucking national anthem? It's Rocky IV all the way. This is the Crusher Kovalev in fucking Russia. And I looked at him and I just felt so bad for him. Man, too bad you gotta fucking take a dive. And he was thinking that. He was yeah, normally I get hyped up when I hear the Russian national anthem, but I can't this time because I'm just going to go in here and throw on a completely fake fight and try to make it look real for 11 rounds. And he did a bad job at that. It was just it wasn't a good fight for them to do this with. Have you ever witnessed a fight where this many people are talking about fake? I was the only one ever even saying that fights were fake. The word fake, not just dive, fake. You know how many people are saying this is fake? Literally, that was a fake fight.
No, that's true. I mean,
you never hear.
This was a Friday night fight.
About fights.
No, you're right. You are right about that. You are 100% right. And I don't care what anybody says. If you're really going to think about it, it's true. I mean, you don't hear just straight up fake. You say, oh, he took a dive. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. Oh, he went retirement plan. We went over the mid-level. The prospects facing the guy on short notice. We see that all the time, and I don't blame those dudes because, damn, they just got called. They're getting a check. They're getting the fuck out of there. They're not in shape, dude. They can get really hurt in there.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. That is true. You are right. That is. You can't really deny
that. And they got to take that into consideration. These. I mean, I will say the only guy that was kind of in the middle, you could tell, he was sort of and that was what's his face? Why? But the main the anchor for DAZN. I don't know why I like.
Oh, Brian.
Brian Kenny. Yeah, he was. He was
Kenny.
pretty neutral the whole time. He was kind of no, I think he's too small for Beterbiev, and yeah, that was a little weird. You know what I mean? And how the hell, honestly, Chris? I mean, I got to touch on this too, man. You said that. I mean, okay, so you're giving Canelo those rounds. It's and then all of a sudden, why are we giving Canelo credit for blocking punches. You have to answer the fucking punch back, dude. You have to hit the guy back. You can't just fucking like wing a fucking crazy a crazy wide hook and miss it, and then all of a sudden like that. But the guy missed. But Sergey missed his 10 jabs. Sergey only hit his gloves. But dude, at least he's doing something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, did they even show the punch? I mean, that would be crazy if they actually showed the punch stats for this, because I'm sure they're insane looking. But
yeah,
I mean,
they did. They were pretty even. They were pretty even as far as actual land.
That's hilarious.
But
oh yeah, of course.
Right. But
the
one thing
the
is
output,
Canelo.
though,
yeah, the output definitely Kovalev threw more.
Yeah,
but
how we.
Go ahead.
How are we gonna give Joshua Clottey no rounds against Pacquiao just because Pacquiao was hitting his gloves a million times, right? But then he would just counter Pacquiao like once, twice, 3, 4 times around.
Yeah,
how the hell?
Right.
So now all of a sudden it's the opposite. So now we got to fucking give the guy credit that's not. I don't get it. I don't understand. Like, you know what I mean? People aren't paying attention. It's like I always sound like such a douche when I hate on boxing fans, but you gotta admit, like, dude, like, do they not remember this shit? It wasn't that long ago, dude. They were just fucking they were just like lobbying for the whole opposite point of view. Like, yeah, but the guy's not fucking but he's not. Pacquiao, look at Pacquiao's doing. He's activity. He hit his glove like so many times. He's actually doing something. How can that not be said about what Sergey was? Even though Sergey was purposely not trying to fucking hurt him, he was purposely hitting his gloves, but he was doing it like 100 times more than fucking Canelo was. Like, no question. What were you saying though?
Well, I was saying one of the reasons why it may have been talked about a little bit more is because it did involve Canelo. And he's popular, and he has a lot of people that love him, a lot of people that hate him. But still, the whole, like you said, the whole fix thing, like the whole fight, you don't really hear the whole fight people talking about. That is a good point.
It's bad.
And
it's dangerous.
It did end abrupt. It ended very abruptly, and I think that's what also people were like, "What the hell? Wait, what? He was hurt? I didn't even notice his hurt."
And honestly, like, I don't know why I even think this, like, but like, I remember last week I was like up for like a couple of days, and I had remembered you were like, I'm gonna do a show tonight. And I was like, oh shit, it was like 6 o'clock, and I was like, okay, I want to make sure that I make sure that I fucking reiterate the fact of what the fuck's gonna happen this weekend. I passed out, and like, but it was good that I did, because it's like, I almost feel like if I would have, like, they wouldn't have done it so obviously. Like, you know, like if you look at the Wilder and people are still gonna sit there and think that I'm like whatever about the whole Wilder and Luis Ortiz dive. But it was the same fucking thing. People just aren't like looking that closely. It's the same thing. It happened right at the over-under. A guy who clearly can outbox, Wilder, he had him hurt, he made a mistake, let off the gas, allowed him, like, he was throwing only arm punches. Like, it was definitely a lot better executed, way better executed, because they're both the same size. But it is the same fucking thing. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know why Oscar and these people, they have to be looking at this as like, this is bad, we can't do this shit again. Yeah, like, okay, we made some money with this, but we can't do this shit again. But I guess they're looking at it like, hey man, it's DAZN's money, who gives a shit? Like, like, that's what everyone's thinking. I guess that's everyone's point of view. That's what it looks like to me. Like, if you're gonna do a dive this blatant right at the fucking over/under, you're not even gonna wait around. You're not even gonna fucking like talk to the casino. Like, nah, man, that's way too. People are already suspecting this shit to be fake. Like, you know what I mean? But again, boxing fans, they weren't expecting it to be fake. They just ran with everything. The only guy that was honest about it was the one trainer, Andre Rozier. He was the only one that was like, I don't understand what the hell everyone's saying. Sergey, I mean, that's a really hard fight for Canelo. That jab, the height, the reach, I don't get it. Like, he was the only one that was, like, real about it. And everyone else was like, oh, body shot. I mean, it's like, dude, like, how? Like, how the hell is that going to happen? I mean, he would have knocked Canelo out in 2-3 rounds. I know that sounds crazy, but that literally is the truth. If that wasn't the truth, he wouldn't be pity-patting those jabs and treating them like a flyweight. He would actually be hitting him. Like, you know, like, it was, if he thought that, if he wasn't afraid of knocking him out, like, he wouldn't have been acting the way that he was acting. You have to look at that, take that into perspective too. Everyone has to. You know, like, he wouldn't be bullshitting like that.
Now, he did seem to be bullshitting. It also did seem like he was wary of the counter to the body or whatever, but I don't know about the 1 or 2 rounds. I can't necessarily say that, but
the distance, though, the distance. He's purposely standing right at that middle distance, where we all know that Kovalev is a master at staying away right from that perfect, not close range. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a boxer, so I don't know which range is what. But did you see him standing that close to Andre Ward the entire fight? No, and that has nothing to do with age. Like, nothing to do with age. Anthony Yard would knock out Canelo. Like, he would. The weight classes are there for a reason. These guys are way bigger than Canelo. Canelo had to put on a lot of weight to even be there. He had a lot of body fat on him. He had a lot. He wasn't ripped.
Yeah,
he wasn't cut up.
Didn't look good. He didn't look good at that weight class. I agree with that for sure. His body didn't look great at all.
Yeah, it was like fucking like Marquez against Mayweather, if not worse. Like, it was like, you know, he doesn't belong in that weight division at all. Like, you know, he fights any of the top 10 guys, you know, unless they pay him to take dives. Maybe Vostok will right now. I'm sure he will. Like, you know, like guys like that, you know, they can do that. But, you know, someone like Beterbiev seems like he's a pretty real deal fucking dude, which, yeah, I'm pissed that I missed that fucking show too, because, like, other than this bullshit that happened this weekend, boxing is, like, really, really dope right now. Like, with what happened with Beterbiev and Vostok, because a lot of people didn't really see that coming. I only went by I knew it was going to be a good fight, because if you look at his amateur record and, like, the way that he's just a really good counterpuncher, really, really good. He's not some come forward, like, crazy, like, don't give a shit type of guy.
He's craftier than he looks.
That's just dope.
He's craftier than he looks, for sure.
Dope
he's
fighter,
got good timing.
Dope fighter. Oh, amazing timing. And he's tricky, too. And the fact that he broke Vostok down like that, I mean, like, I know and I do agree with you, by the way, about Vostok. Like, yeah, Vostok quit, but it wasn't, I hate on fucking guys quitting all the time. But I understand that. Like, you know what I mean? That's like a normal, you know, like, you can't go anymore, don't fucking go. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not worth it.
Took a lot of shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely took
yeah.
a lot of shots.
And that's a whole other fucking, I mean, you really think that Canelo would be able to go the distance with Beterbiev or even last 8-9 rounds with him? Honestly, you're crazy if you think that.
Yeah, it is tough to think that. Yeah, it's like I said, I didn't think he could clean knock him out either. I didn't think that at all. Going into this, the only way I could think of it is TKO, because he's just done. And he's just done, and he submits himself like he did in the Ward second fight. But I didn't see some kind of flush punch doing that. You know, I definitely did. I didn't.
But you do agree that Sergey allowed him. But Sergey allowed him to do that. You know what I mean? So we can't really count that. Like, he allowed him to do that.
I'm saying going into the fight. I'm saying going into the fight.
Yeah,
that was my
before,
mentality.
yeah. Yeah. And it's easy for me to say this now, but that's what I wanted to say last week. I was like, they're going to make it look good. I didn't think that they were going to do it right at the over-under, though. That's going real fucking far. Has anybody else mentioned anything about what the over-under was? And let me mention that URL one more time. imgur.com. Everyone knows, the thing where people post pictures on Reddit, whatever. Go to that.
Right.
imgur.com/user/Kovalev dive. You'll see it right there. Not bullshitting when I talk about these fucking over-unders. I'm not. These guys are making
and that's
fucking deals.
You can't deny. Whether people agree with you on this one or other ones or whatever, throw that stuff out the window. You can't deny the shakiness of an over-under. It's like now, like I said this earlier. I don't think you heard me because this is kind of in the opening, but I did say now as far as Vegas goes, I do college football too, so I do mess with the spreads against the spread, and there are times that I said that example is like that team's not 17 points better, no way. And then, you put the bet down or whatever, or it's just an opinion of yours, right? And then Vegas, then they win by 18, and you're like, God damn it, Vegas is right. So I do. Vegas knows what they're doing, obviously. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. It's really tough.
Because they know who to pay off. They know which referees to make sure they throw flags out at certain times.
Especially the knees. Especially the knees, like you said. Sometimes there's a knee where you're like, oh, you just took a knee now. Like that is kind of, it's pretty crazy. I got to admit that part where you're like, wow, these over-unders start to add up over a couple of years.
It's the fact that was just like, that just topped it all off on top of that. Like I still would have said all the same shit. Like, but the fact that it happened right at the over-under too, it's like, come on, there is no question, there's no debating whether or not this was fake or not. It wasn't. I mean, like 10.5, dude. You decided to last that long. He's doing a good. I mean, let's see if he was actually fighting like that. There was no reason for him just to open up like that. Did he stumble twice like that against Ward, even when he got hit with that flush shot right on the chin with that right hand? No, he didn't. He stumbled once, but like he didn't stumble twice like he did with Canelo with the
it was really more submitting. He kept turning his back too. So he was trying to submit by getting out of these body shots, but it wasn't the same. You're right. And you could see that one land clean as day. But then, what about the argument of, well, dude, how many times have we seen a guy get hit in the ear and it messes up his balance? I mean, that is a thing. We've seen that plenty too, right?
Sure. But it's like, yeah. But even that, like I said, I go back to the whole chess analogy, even though it's weird. These guys, these are professional fighters that have been fighting their whole lives. You know what I mean? How many amateur fights has Sergey had? He's a great boxer. They know when to open up. They know when a guy's going to throw a hook, a left hand over their right hand. If they drop their right hand, they know what's going to happen for that. And if you look at the replay, he literally he stumbled and then he stumbled again. Like he made sure that he stepped towards Canelo. Then Canelo was like, oh shit, now I got to do it now. Like the whole time that Canelo was throwing these crazy right hands and crazy hooks, I was just like, because he's waiting for the dive. Maybe he's not aware of when it's going to happen, but he knows it's going to happen. But both of these guys are 100% aware of that fight was not going to be real. They both went into it thinking the same thing. I just hope that Oscar and these guys, when they get presented with these opportunities, they just turn it down. Oscar is a competitive athlete. He knows, you know what I mean? Don't do that. I mean, because you lose. I mean, I honestly looked at that and I was like, I feel like an idiot watching this sport still. I do. I feel like a fucking moron. You know what I mean? Because then I can't enjoy regular podcast. I can't because I'm just like, oh my God, you thought that was real? Holy shit, are you kidding me? That's literally what I'm thinking the whole time. And it's like, you can't do that with people who are really passionate about the sport. Like, you know, like, you can't, because, like, you just can't. Like, because all the other people, these Canelo fans, fanboys and shit, they're here today and they're gone tomorrow. When Canelo loses and when he's gone, they're gone with him. They're gone with him, dude. They're not going to be here like how I'm going to be here, how you're going to be here. Like, that's how you lose.
Right.
Like, real fans. Like, they got to see that. Like, you can't throw on these fake fucking events. That's insane. Like, you know what I mean? It's supposed to be, even though it's prize fighting, you can't do that. Like, don't you feel that way? Like betrayed almost? Well, not. I mean, we always get betrayed by this sport all the time, but still, it's like.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely don't feel betrayed because you're right. We if you followed the sport long enough, you get betrayed at every other corner. But yeah, it is different. You know, it's not just because of the popularity of Canelo. I think that plays into it, obviously, because you have your fanboys and your haters and all that. So they just, you know, they'll jump on anything, and you can see it clear as day. That's why I like that you add detail to it. You break it down instead of just saying, like I said earlier, his knees never touched the canvas. Come on, just stop with that. Yeah, they did. Totally, they landed on the, you know, that type of thing. But as far as the trade, no, I don't trade. But I know what you're saying. And the black eyes of the sport is left and right and left. And, you know, especially casual
this
fans.
one was bad.
And nowadays casual fans are even different because that fake news thing's out there where they're just like, no, I'm done with it. People still think that most fights are fixed. I'll sit there and talk to people about it. And, you know, so it is it is troublesome.
Fake is bad because then it's like you don't know what's fake. These are professional fighters. They could make it look good. You know, they could make it look really, really good if they really, really wanted to. We don't know if Spence and Porter had a little conversation before, and they're like, well, let's make this a crazy, awesome fight. I'm going to come at you. You're going to come at me. Like, you know, like, let's just do it. Like, you know, like, I'm not just going to stand back and box you. Like, you know, like, let's just do it. And, like whatever. Like, even that, to a degree, is not real competition. Even though that's, like, a good way of doing it, come on. Like, you can't.
And you're using that as an example just to use it, or do you think that happened in that fight, too?
No. I'm just saying, like, if you see shit like this, then you got to question everything. You're gonna question everything.
Sure.
Was that real? Right. Why did he take that step to the left when he knows this guy's a fucking southpaw? Like, you know, shit like that. Like, you know this guy's gonna fucking hit you if you go that way. Why? Like, you know, like, it's the Wilder and Ortiz thing. Like, you know, like, it's like that, like shit like that. Like, you know, like, what can you trust if you're getting screwed over all the time by these guys? And regular people, it isn't just like a guy taking a knee. This isn't a bad decision. You know, like, this is really, really shady. It's shady as fuck. It's so shady. There's so much entertainment we can watch on YouTube.
Another thing I like is that we're honestly just talking to each other about it, and we have our opinions and all that. But like, I disagreed with you on Wilder and Ortiz. You know, I disagree with that one. But there's other ones that I said you're freaking right on, or the other ones that I'm in between, and I can understand why you and many other people think that, because and this is one that falls underneath there. The writing is on the wall. If that's the theory you feel like you're seeing, I mean, Kovalev did not look like he was trying to win the fight. It was like, where did that power come from? You know, no doubt.
People
like
know.
I said, I'm very shocked that happened.
Yeah, like, and even if you don't agree with me on the Ortiz thing, now you see my point of view on the whole matter altogether. Like, hey, these guys will do that. They don't get. It's not about winning. It's about making money. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, you know, at that stage in their career, like that's what I'm like. That's the point I'm always trying to illustrate.
I thought that before too. I mean, you know, I've seen plenty of people at the end of their career, either the promoter cashing them out and they're cashing out or whatever. So, you know, it is what it is.
And let's not forget, everybody. Now I know that I've been sticking up for Golovkin and all that stuff lately, but we gotta admit, who the fuck has been right on about Golovkin the entire fucking time? And that just it sort of ties into this because Golovkin's supposed to be this crazy knockout puncher. Okay, he faces the only other fucking top guy in the division. He loses 9-3. I don't give a shit what anyone says. He lost by a solid 8 rounds, probably 9 rounds against fucking Derevchenko. That just goes to prove that you can't just sit there and be like, oh well, Canelo was taking these punches from Triple G. Oh, so of course he could take Kovalev's punches. No, Triple G's power was bullshit. You know what I mean? The whole time, I was saying. People hate hearing that, but I'm sorry, it was true. Golovkin's a great fighter, but it's not what you thought it was. It just goes to show it's not that. But yeah, the whole shit about Golovkin, come on. I said before that fight too. What did I say? I said straight up, this is where we're gonna really find out if Golovkin really was bullshit the entire time. I don't give a shit if he's 36 or not. This will prove everything that I was saying, and I hope it's not true, and I think he might actually get him out of there late. Exact opposite happened. He actually turned out to be everything I was hating on him from the get-go. From the fucking get-go. Complete bullshit of fucking, probably the biggest fraud that we've seen probably ever in the middleweight division. I mean, if Golovkin's one of the best of all time, so what is Kelly Pavlik? The best fucking guy to ever fucking lace up gloves? Because Kelly Pavlik had 35 fucking knockouts and 36, 37 fights before he even got his shot. You know what I mean? They just hyped up Triple G because there was no one else to hype up. Like I said, people don't like hearing it, but hey, over the years, what happens? 3-0.
Well, yeah, and the fans got hooked, line and sinker. Because they were going to these events. So once that started, then people really jumped on then we're really going to push him. And yeah, he was definitely overrated. I mean, the thing that bugged me the most is they're trying to put him in with Hagler already. Oh, he's just as good as Hagler. It's dude, calm the fuck down. Let him be the best middleweight nowadays.
Yeah, they even said after the fight, oh, he's one of the best fighters ever, one of the best fighters. I don't, okay, yes, he got put in a good situation. HBO was running out of budget, they couldn't pay other fucking people, you know what I mean? It was perfect timing to throw him in there. That's all it is. Doesn't take away from any of his accomplishments, but dude, if you don't rematch Derevchenko, which he's not going to, because if he rematches him, then they can't rob Derevchenko twice. Can't. You can't do it again. It's too blatant, and he'll lose if he goes against him. So, I mean, that's, I just want to see real fucking competition with these guys. Does this, do you think that Canelo would beat Jermell? I still think that would be a good fight, him against Jermell, but, just the jab of Jermell would, we saw how Jacobs' jab was giving him problems, Canelo problems. Jermell would beat him, at 60 and probably, and fucking 68. You know what I mean? He would beat him. I don't know, I wish I could go back and play what I said last time. I said he's going to be the same fighter before and afterwards, so it came to be true. That's pretty much it. What else is on the horizon? I don't know how long I've been on. My bad. I don't know who's waiting. But was there anything else? There's nothing to predict in the next week or two, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Inouye's facing Donaire, but most people think he's going to, take care of Donaire because Donaire is beyond washed. He's been washed for a while. So, and then, just small, mid-level stuff. Not till the Wilder Ortiz and then obviously the Ruiz Joshua. What's that?
Yeah, then Devin Haney's fighting, right? Next weekend?
Yeah, Haney actually got an opponent finally. He's Haney is fighting this weekend. He got an opponent.
Yeah.
He just got him in. So it's a statement fight. You know?
But I'll watch him just because that's fucking talent written all over it. But I mean, like, I was gonna literally cancel my DAZN subscription, but then like I was like, oh, okay, Devin Haney's fighting, and then shit, the Joshua Ruiz, okay, you got me. But it's like shit like this will make me fucking, unsubscribe. Like Sergio Mora and these guys know they're trying to hold on to the jobs, but you can't co-sign it. This bullshit, man. Fans aren't that stupid. We know it was fucking fake. You can't sit there and fucking try to. I'm a fighter. I was in the ring. Okay, then if that was true, then every fighter would be a multi-fucking billionaire when you fucking retired, because all you'd have to do is bet on fights for the rest of his life. Like, if every fighter, if that really, like, held any real weight in predictions or any of that shit, being a fighter doesn't mean shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Because they could just they could be even more biased than us, because they could be even more, some of that competitive juices that got them to where they were, they're so headstrong and stubborn sometimes that they'll just stick with the prediction just to stick with it. Nope, that didn't happen, And they just, I see that in football all the time, or basketball too, where at halftime somebody made this big prediction at halftime. They're like, boy, nothing happened. You know what I mean? It's just funny, but yeah, you definitely can't go off what athletes say prediction-wise. That's for sure.
Yeah. They see it on the low levels too, so they see that anybody could lose on any given night. They hear one guy's good, and they see this shit. So for them, they see so many layers that it screws up, what they think is gonna happen. At the end of the day, these fans, you can't just because some guy says Sergio Mora, any of these guys, Floyd, and just because they say something. They would all be multi-millionaires if they all they would have to do is bet on fights forever. Like, that's at the end of the day, we're on the outside looking in. Sometimes it's a better position to be in. But all right, man, I took up way too much time, man. I appreciate it. I'm gonna be calling in for sure.
All right, man. Take it easy. Have yourself a good night.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey.
Thanks.
Yeah. Later. And like I said, if people have, some people just have a closed mind. Some people can't. There's people online that think it's fixed, and I try to ask them a question, and they just get defensive and don't. No, you're bullshit. You know what I mean? And where does that get us anyway? You know what I mean? And sometimes it was just a question of their post and in Facebook where they have the picture of, like I said, the knee thing. That went around the Facebook groups like crazy. I saw it a little on Twitter, but mostly Facebook and YouTube. That whole, this is why it was fixed, because his knees never touched. That shit was just driving me crazy. And I try to be like, hey, dude, do you have anything else to say? Because if that's your one thing, I actually tweeted that. I said, hey, come up, give me something else. Because I can't listen to the knees didn't go down when I see the knees go down. You know what I mean? But some people just won't accept it, that a fight could be fixed potentially. Some people think everything's fixed, and then they just run away with every conspiracy theory. But a lot of times people just can't talk about it. And that's kind of why this is perfect, because we can piece by piece what the theory is. Okay, well, tell me why you think this happened, and then just lay it all out, and then let the people figure it out. I'm in between on it. I gotta admit, I am in between on it, because it didn't seem like he wanted to win the fight fully. It didn't. His jab was the lightest jab I've seen him throw. But it did look like he was tentative ongoingly, especially early, or I shouldn't say especially early, but he was tentative, it seemed, out the gate. Now, we know, like I said, he changed his style a little bit ever since that Alvarez second fight. He got knocked out in the first one. Then he came back and was pivoting and jabbing and moving great. Actually, like I mentioned, I think that's one of his best performances. I really do. He looked great against B-Hop. He looked great against some other fighters. Pascal, he was just kind of raw dogging him. Pause. He was kind of just trying to knock him out, so he got tagged with a bunch of punches. But I also see the other side, the punch resistance. We know that that's why I call it the fighter spirit. A fighter's spirit can be trying that extra 110%. It could just be punch resistance. And we know punch resistance can be like the first thing to go. And we know he's looked like, a couple times he wanted to quit against Ward before he ultimately submitted himself, on the ropes. And the stoppage. Like I said, the shit was like, oh, shit, wait a second. But, when I look at that punch, I do think it was a legitimate punch. And 310 said he agrees it was legitimate, but he thinks Kovalev put himself there to be hit. And, it's debatable, sure, but you can look at it. I can see it both ways on that because it's like, yeah, I mean, that is true, dude. He doesn't hold on. We know that. So, but he could have moved all the way out of there. Maybe he wasn't feeling confident. I don't know. Maybe he was setting himself up right there for it, This goes like the whole conspiracy thing with judging as far as the paper bag. I've talked about this from time to time. And the paper bag, there's a money full of, here's a bunch of money in a paper bag. We're giving it to you under the table. I don't believe that happens. And some people think I'm ignorant, I'm dumb for saying that. But the FBI has already done these investigations, and you don't think that person is going to take $50,000 and not put it someplace, do you? You think they're just going to spend all the big bills? They're not going to put anything in the bank? No, some people would do that. Some people would put it right under their mattress. I'm not saying that's not, a possibility, but I just think it's the perk. They get a hotel room. They get to travel all over the world. They get dinner, free dinners. They get wined and dined. All the judges get wined and dined. But you only get 3 on an event. So it goes to come forward fighter judges or on the move judges. Okay, just like Canelo, because they always find somebody that's going to score for Canelo. People know it's like a house judge. That's all it is. It's a house judge. Being a judge doesn't maybe, it could pay you $5,000 or $10,000, but it's a lot of stuff's free, or you could write it off, as a profession too, if it wasn't all paid for, which is, from my understanding, most of it is paid for. And we're talking about the high profile, bigger fights. If you do a local show here, they're not going to pay for your room per se. Some of them will. You never know. But, it did seem like my thing was Kovalev hurt enough. Was he hurt enough to have that one punch just knock him out? Like I said, when I saw the punch from different angles, he clearly punched through him. And so I do think that was a legitimate punch. I mean, we can go back to Muhammad Ali in the rematch with What's-His-Toes. They're about to do a documentary on him on Showtime. I can't think of his fucking name right now for some odd reason. He worked for the mob, blah, blah, blah. Oh, Sonny Liston. And, the punch that actually people call it the phantom punch. But clearly the punch landed, in my opinion. And they just, the slow motion and they just didn't have the cameras to pick it up because of the angle. Sure, it had something to do with the speed, but it was the angle too. You couldn't see it. That was a perfect punch. We see punches like that all the time. Oh, I should say all the time, but we see punches like that. And this was one of those punches that were just a clean-ass punch. Now, I can agree with someone that tells me, oh, I think it was a legitimate knockout. But Kovalev put himself in that situation to basically lay it on a platter for Canelo. Okay, I'm willing to meet you halfway there. But, I also do look at how Kovalev was punching. he's got a stern jab, dude. He does have a stern jab. He really does. And I mean, his last fight, he knocked somebody out with it. So it's one I'm in between on. I gotta look at it and go, huh. I mean, and then like you said, the over/under. You bring that in, you're like, huh. So it's not taking anything away from Canelo. In some ways, it's not taking that much away from Cove. But if it was everybody involved, then that is troubling. That is troubling if most people were involved. Yeah, that would be very, very, very troubling. And like I said, I'm in between on this one. When I first saw it, I did think Kovalev was hurt. I mean, I saw him get hurt. And we've seen plenty of people get hit in the side of the ear and be discombobulated, disoriented, wobbly. You don't know what's going on. I've gotten hit in the side of the head, not just with fists, but in wrestling, getting hit with a door before, on accident. Like I've gotten shooken up that way. I've gotten walking concussions. I've gotten whatever. But so yeah, on this one, I can see what some people are saying about this. I can see their point because of the way Kovalev fought and the way it ended. But, like I said, I gave counterpoints to just throw it out there and let you decide. It's up to you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to think, and I'm also going to let people voice their opinion. That's what I'm going to do. That's what we've always done. But if someone just sits there and yells and then I try to ask them a question and they don't want to talk about it, then it's on to the next person then. And that just like in the comments, the comment section or in the Facebook comment sections, right? If someone's not willing to sit there and explain it to you, then what's the point? Then I think that kind of makes me think, well, dude, you're just after clickbait and page hits and likes and all that, shares. There's some of that too. So, I get what people were saying. I'm not saying, oh, this was fixed 100%. I believe it 100%. I don't believe it 100%. But I'm not going to also say it's 100% bullshit, and people that think that are stupid because, well, I'm not going to go into it because we just laid it all out. There are some shaky things in that fight. I do have to say that. I will say that. Real quick, as far as the weekend goes, like I said, not many things to talk about, really. There's only a couple of them that even went the distance. Javier Molina on ESPN took care of Okada in the first round. Early right hands and I think he hit him with another right hand that hurt him and a left hook that knocked him down. Hurt him again, then flurried. It was a TKO. I think it was a right hand that really ended it. TKO over. Then you had Berchelt Sosa. I knew that wasn't going to be much of a fight. I figured stylistically it'd be fun to watch, and it was for very short moments. Otherwise, it was all Berchelt. Late. There were some two-way moments, like I mentioned, but he was just destroying him with left hooks and right hooks and just everything. I mean, he scored knockdowns. He was hurt right off the bat. 30 seconds into the second round, it was a left hook and then a combination that knocked him down. Sosa in that second round did fire back, though. He was getting tagged, but he fired back. But the head and body lands were landing so hard. Third and fourth, I mean, Sosa took so much punishment. Knocked down from a body shot, flurry. The corner came in, thank God. I really want to see Berchelt challenged. You know what I mean? I really need him challenged now. It's been too long, and you can't tell me he was challenged this year with faded dudes like Francisco Vargas and Sosa. These dudes are faded. I get the Vargas rematch. I get why they did it. It peaked well over 1 million. It was not competitive, but it was a fun fight. And then it was just a one-sided slaughter. And this was even worse than that. It was just quick. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. As far as but yeah, I need Berchelt I need 130 to start popping off here, guys. You need to start fighting each other. That's just the bottom line. And that goes for everybody at 130, not just one or two or whatever. I'm not just blaming Burchell. It's just, all right, we need Burchell to step it up now, I think. Ryan Cowboy Carl and Aguilera. Aguilera actually this was a fun fight. While it lasted. Great opening round, I'll give him that. Cowboy Carl is always in a good fight. Aguilera though, he had a right hand that crashed the Cowboy into the ropes. But the Cowboy got up, he started becoming aggressive. He did score a low blow in the third round, but he pressured him, body work, just busier. Doctor stopped it. Couldn't answer the bell between the fifth and the sixth round. TKO. It was over. Not much to talk about. David Morrell Jr., the Cuban prospect, the hot prospect that nobody's really talking about. Here's a guy that was like 123 and I think 2 in the amateurs. Nobody's really talking about him. He's actually, relocated to Minneapolis to fight. Here at times, of course, on the cards that they have at the Armory, but also they have him training here with Jamal James trainer. So he relocated up here. It's pretty dope. But he won with body shots, second round, crisp shots, really letting his hands go with straight left hand and a left hand uppercut. That was over really quick. Then you had Fortuna, or maybe it is Fortuna, and Cuellar. And I actually thought this was going to be a good fight. Both these guys are not in their prime. It's a good middle of the mid-level and crossroads mix. I actually was excited for this fight, but it was basically all Fortuna. I mean, and this, I didn't realize it was at 135, and I thought, oh, wait a second. This isn't going to go well for Cuellar, who was best weight was 126, 130, but 135 is just too high for him, and he looks pretty sharp. But Fortuna looked pretty good, and he's been on a nice little run here. He scored some left hooks. I think there was a late flurry after. There was a left hook exchange with like 25 seconds left of the round in the first round. Fortuna dropped him. He comes out firing with combinations. Then he kind of was on the stick and move game. It was like a left, then a right hand that landed off a pivot that caused a knockdown, and it was a TKO. Not much to go into after that. So Fortuna's got some wins here lately. We'll see where he goes. And then it was Castano and Omatoso, and this was one-sided pretty much from the jump. Took a little while to get going. The jabs were landed pretty well for Castano early. He was basically just outworking him. There was some early lands, I'd say, in the third and fourth from Omatoso, and he started kind of trying to get into the fight, but Castano closed stronger. He landed the harder shots. It was pretty clear to see. And then the fifth round, that was where the dominant round started coming out. The domination from Castano. No surprise here. There was like a shoulder or arm injury, something like that. That's what seemed like was bugging Omatoso. It could have just been like, I'm hurt. I don't see a way to win this fight. I'm good. You know what I mean? That's what it kind of seemed like. It's nice, though. They were playing the 154-pound game. They had Jared Hurd there, which is he staying at 54 now? It's kind of weird how they did that. They had a poll. Who's the best guy at 154 PBC-wise? And Jermell Charlo won it. Not that it's just a poll, but it's kind of cool because then they have Brian Castano here, another legitimate 154-pounder. They got Arislandi Lara, who's going to have a fight here announced somewhat soon anyway, I assume. He's going to fight Soro. So I like that he's in the fold, and I'm looking to see what Castano does, this year, or not this year, the next year coming, 2020 to be exact. What else we got? And then the show box, that was pretty quick. The Xavier Martinez, it was like a hard right hand, a left hook. And it was, that fight was over so damn quick. I barely even had sat down and watched the damn fight. Richard Hitchinson fought Kevin Johnson, and I thought Johnson actually gave him a decent test. I had it 7-3. Hitchinson just kind of started getting better. He started out with like a crisp jab, landed his jab, landed the right hand. He was patient. He was kind of lunging with his right hand, though. I noticed that. And then the eighth, both guys started landing good. The eighth, I actually gave the eighth to Johnson. The ninth and 10th were close. I gave the 10th to Johnson. So, he actually made a nice little run in the back end of it, but I had it 7-3, 116-86 was the punch total as far as landing. And he had Johnson a little busier, but the better shots were Hitchinson. The scores read 2 cards, 97-93, and the other card 96-94. Like I said, I had it 7-3. I wasn't overly impressed with Hitchinson, though. Romario took on Juan Carlos Cardonez, I think it was. Rolando. I think this guy's Mayweather, a lot of Mayweather, obviously, on the card. Big right hand, left hook, midway through the first round, knocked him down. Another left hand, another hard right hand, knocked him down. Couldn't get up really off the canvas. He was just kind of glued to it. So really easy wins for Rolando Romario. And then the best fight, I'd say, actually, that's something that was competitive, was Kevin Newman and Marcos Hernandez. That was closer. That was actually a pretty good fight, I thought. Hernandez came out with his crisp jab. I gave him the opening right hand, or the opening rounds. Or wait, I'm looking at it wrong. I just started doing that's right, because I compacted the scorecard. I forgot about that. No, Newman. I'm talking about the Newman fight. Newman came out throwing mostly jabs for a while. You'd see Hernandez, who we've seen on Showbox a fair amount of times. He'd land decent in spots, but it just wasn't enough. Then you did see Newman go into the body more. Landed mostly like a jab and right hands, though. In the 6th through 8th, because it was only an 8-round fight, just more combinations. Newman started landing more combinations. And it was a competitive fight. The body, though, 74-9 to the body. Ouch. Hernandez was busier with 435 thrown compared to 399, but 152 to 97. 38% to 21%. So clearly Kevin Newman got the best of them. And that about wraps it up as far as the other stuff. The one fight I have to go back and watch, I've just been busy since, is the female fight. I just fully admit I didn't see it. I did see Ryan Garcia, Duno. I thought he'd take care of Duno. Not that easy, but he did. Some people are saying that was a phantom punch because, you couldn't really see a whole lot of contact. Well, you saw a bunch of contact, but when he actually went down, it was a delayed reaction. That one looked a little funky on the delayed reaction, but you can't deny what Garcia was doing to him. Now, Garcia's talking about 2020 is a big year for me. Jorge Linares was out there talking, hey, I want to fight him. There's a variety of fighters that are saying, this is it. I want that dude. I want to fight Garcia. And so we'll see. We'll see where he goes. I'm not sure how they're going to move him, to be honest with you. He made $250,000 in this fight, which is a lot more than the $30,000 he was making or whatever, or $50,000 here and there. So that's good for him. Oh, I forgot to mention the Canelo scorecard. So it was 96-94, 96-94, and 95-95 before the knockout. And I didn't really get to talk too much about it, but the DAZN thing, the DAZN thing, that was pretty crazy that they held off to wait for DAZN. It's like, or to wait for the UFC fight. And obviously, they didn't plan on going, November 2nd anyway. It was supposed to be Mexican Independence Weekend, obviously. So, I don't know, man. Once it got that late, once you're looking at the clock, it's strange because they put out, it's like a mixed messaging to your clientele, right? So you put out a message that got out there, somewhat, but it didn't get to every subscriber, obviously, saying we're going to wait. And some people were combat sports fans that love MMA and boxing. They were in heaven. They're like, this is great because I'm going to be up watching this anyway, and then we'll go in there. And, they put out that press release or whatever through Coppinger, DAZN did, saying we got 100,000 people logged in. But it was funny because they said logged in. So those people could have just watched it on archive, like I said earlier. It was kind of weird. Like, so how many new subscribers did you get, though? And you notice, and I'm going to check it before I'm out of here, but you notice we haven't gotten that press release yet like we got with Canelo and Jacobs. Now, maybe it's going to come. I don't know, but I haven't seen it yet. It's kind of funky how that's working out. But anyway, I thought it was pretty crazy. But once you've told people you're going to do that and wait, then, then all of a sudden you don't wait. And it's just a big mixture of stuff. There was just a moment at the time where you go, after how quickly that Garcia-Duno fight ended, right then and there, you probably had to been like, fuck it, let's just go. Let's just go right now. And it would have actually, you had a chance to get the fight done before that fight happened. You actually had that chance. But like I said, you've already told a bunch of people online that you're going to wait. So, and then they had it. I guess the people inside the MGM and DAZN basically called and said, "Hey, can you show it? We're gonna wait. Can you show it?" And Dana White ended up giving them, they ended up giving it to them, and they on the big screens. If you had to kind of tilt your neck up if you're on the floor, they watched that fight in the MGM, which is just crazy, dude. Your whole marketing saying, the whole marketing plan is, pay-per-view's dead, but you're waiting for a pay-per-view. You see how ironic that is? It's just crazy, dude. Like, I'm still kind of shocked at that, especially when I found out what the actual time was going to be when Diaz and What's-His-Toes was going to get on. Then I was like, oh, they probably shouldn't do that because this shit. I remember, like I said, being at work and at the bar and people watching it. I'm thinking, dude, this is going to be so late. They said it was a little about 100 minutes. You got about 90 minutes, 100 minutes between the co-feature and the main event, and that happened with the second rematch. The second rematch. You hear what I just said? The rematch between Canelo and Golovkin. There was like an hour break too, because all the fights had gone so quick or whatever. So, it is what it is. I thought it was a bad move. When I first heard about it, I was thinking, okay, so they'll get out there at 11. That's midnight East Coast. That's not a big deal. That actually makes some sense. Whatever. But once I started, like I said, discussing it with I discussed it with a couple of MMA fans that really know what they're talking about. And they started telling me what time they think that the pay-per-view is going to start, the main event anyway. And I was like, oh boy, this could be bad. But anyway, that was pretty crazy to sit there and have that type of event happen, and then, like I said, to put out the press release after, that was freaking crazy to sit there and be like, well, we actually made out on it pretty good, so too bad, But yeah, I'd like to know what the number was, because We knew after Canelo and Jacobs, they had around 600 to 700, about 650,000 subscribers. But who hung around since May? And remember, you didn't get them in September, again, for Canelo. You had to wait till November. So who waited around after Joshua and Ruiz, right? Because that fight was part of that monthly subscription for Canelo and Jacobs. So June, July, August, September, October. Those are 5 months before he fought again. How many new subscribers got back in the fold just to watch the Canelo fight? That's why I really wanted to see what their press release was going to say this time. But they also know we know that. So if they did the same amount or if they did less, that's going to make it look bad, Because there's no way all of those Canelo fans stayed around for 5 months without canceling. It's just not every one of them. You know what I mean? So we'll see. And that's why I thought it was smart to do the $100 thing, because people were willing to pay $80 for a Canelo fight before. So maybe they're willing to pay $100 for the whole year. And I really didn't think that was effective until they were able to sign Canelo. But it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. As far as, I'm going to go over some news. I'm going to give Portland 503, of course, some time here at the end to close it down like I normally do. Give them a healthy amount there. So we're going to go over, as far as previewing the weekend, like I said, it's not some kind of crazy weekend per se. But, there's some fights. Obviously, Inoue, the monster from Japan, is fighting Donaire. I heard that show's sold out. That's pretty dope. It's been sold out for a while, it sounds like. So that's a positive. But, obviously Donaire, this is a great weight for him, 118, and even 122, it's better than featherweight, but he's been done for a while. And we all know why he's in this final, because, one dude got hurt in the ring and the other guy got hurt before he fought him. So, I love Nonito Donaire. I loved watching him. I had him on the show plenty of times, but he's shot. He's done, and that's just a fact. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do about it. I would love it if he won this fight. He still has a left hand. We know that. The left hook's still there. It just, his reflexes aren't there. I hearken to the days of Roy Jones. I'm not saying Nonito, and I'm not putting Roy Jones and Nonito in the same sentence, but if you look at their fighting style, I thought Roy Jones was better, clearly, to me. But if you look at his style, Donaire used his reflexes, whether it was a counter with the left hand, whether it was bouncing his head around. He was just reflex. He was a reflex fighter. And once those reflexes go, the skills follow. Period. Point blank. That's just how it is. That's how it is. He's been there for a couple times. You've seen him fight Frampton. You've seen him fight Magdanello. You've seen him fight a variety of guys, and he just doesn't have it. It's just not there anymore. So that's why I'm not sitting there pumping up this fight now. The Ubalia or Ubali, Nordine. He's fighting Inoue's brother for the WBC bantamweight belt. I'm actually going to be paying attention to that more. Now, this is Thursday, 6 o'clock in the morning, East Coast, because it's from Japan. So it's 5 o'clock here. So I'm going to watch it Thursday when I get off work. I'm not going to even mess with it. And then Jamel Herring is taking on Lamont Roach Jr., for his WBO belt. And that's a really well-matched fight. That's a good fight. I like that fight on paper. Kubrak Pulev is going to stay busy in that undercard. There's a couple other Gabriel Flores Jr.'s on that card, Amir Imam. They're on the prelims, I should say. ESPN Plus has a card from London. I'm not going to go too dive into it. Obviously, Kasai, Logan Paul. Like I said, my middle school nephew was all about this last summer. They fought to a draw. I'm not going to break down the fight too much. You know what I mean? Because it is what it is. But Devin Haney does fight on the undercard. He fights a guy named what the hell's the guy's name? It just got finalized, actually. That's why it's not really a big deal. Alfredo Santiago. He's 12-0, but, it just got finalized. And Billy Joe Saunders is on the undercard as well. Ronnie Rios is on the undercard. Yada, yada, yada. And that's about it. That's about it. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. So, yeah. I'm going to go with Herring. But I'm looking forward to that Herring Lamont Jr. fight because to me, God, I keep saying Lamont Jr. for some reason. Lamont Roach Jr. For me, I think that's a good mid-level fight, and it's equally matched, and I'm looking forward to it. They have the whole Veterans Day theme going on, and it's on a military base in Fresno, so that's dope too. And really big fan of Herring just in general, the person. And it's been nice to see him, bounce back in his career after taking some losses early. So we'll definitely try to have him on in November. I think we'll be able to get him on in November sometime after his fight and stuff like that. But keep an eye on that. As far as news, just going to swing through it real quick, and then we're going to get out to Portland. So Portland, kind of get into your mode wherever you got to be, man. You let me know. We'll get you there. J-Rock, Julian Williams, since Jared Hurd declined the rematch, that got moved to January 18th. His date did. He's taken on Rosario, who kind of has been on a nice streak lately. He actually, speaking of Hernandez, who we just saw on Showbox on Friday, he had a very close fight with him, and then in the rematch beat him handedly. He beat what was his name? He beat a fighter that pulled an upset. It was God, I cannot remember his damn name for some reason. But either way, he's been on a nice little run of late, and so he's getting he's getting a shot. He's getting a shot. It looks like a stay busy fight, on paper. But he's been on a nice little run. He's 19, I think 1-1. Actually, here we go. Deloach. God, I can't remember. I can't believe Justin Deloach. Remember, he upset somebody. He got hot, and he beat that dude. He beat Javante Clark. I believe that was here, if I remember correctly. He also beat that Hernandez rematch and Jorge Cotto, which wasn't really a big fight. But Julian Williams, it's more about Julian Williams. He's getting a hometown fight January 18th on Temple University. As far as Luis Ortiz, he is weighing 239, 24 days before the fight. Now, I didn't sit there and weigh him myself, but he looks like in really good shape. You can just tell he's in damn good shape. A lot of people a month ago, or even at that, I think I heard plenty of people say that he looked really big at the Spence Porter. I didn't agree with that. He's in pretty damn good shape. Tevin Farmer and Joseph Diaz Jr., Jojo Diaz Jr., they are in talks for January 31st. Sign me up. I was talking about 130. That needs to start moving. That's a good step in the right direction. And then the undercard for Joshua and Ruiz is starting to heat up as well, the rematch. Povetkin against Hunter. I really like that fight. Quigg and Carroll. That could be an interesting fight. And Eric Molina and, what is it, Hergvig? How do you say his name? Hergvig? I can't. Herkovic. I think it's I can't remember that heavyweight though. I know that. God, I'm making a mockery of his name. I can't remember how to say his name. The H is probably silent. I can't remember how to say his name now. But anyway, he's on the undercard. He's a prospect heavyweight. We'll see how he does against Molina. It's really just a guy there, but it's kind of interesting on the undercards. And then another piece of news here. Well, JCC Jr., Julio Cesar Jr., Chavez, of course, I'm speaking of, JCC Jr., he was all ready to fight Daniel Jacobs. I think it was December 20th or something. It was on a Friday, I believe. Well, I guess he evaded the WBC test. I don't know if it was more than once or whatever, but right now he's in limbo. They don't even know if he's going to be able to fight now. So that's a little bit of news. And then we got some fake news from Chris Mannix. Chris Mannix, the night of the Canelo fight, tweeted out that Broner hit Gervonta Davis, full-on hit him, and knocked out Gervonta Davis's PR guy. And a bunch of us know that PR guy. And it's funny because Steven Espinoza jumped on that earlier too. And Espinoza obviously had a lot to say that night about, the fights and why they delayed it, stuff like that. But it was actually, this is what Espinoza said. He said, if a professional boxer like Broner or otherwise hit a PR guy with a haymaker, because he did call it a haymaker, then the PR guy would be in the ER. Having seen and spoken with said PR guy, that never happened. Worry about your disaster of a telecast before you try to distract with a false thing, a false tweet. So basically, he did tweet out that happened, like as if it was fact. And so that was kind of crazy. That was a little like, and then he never really rebutted it. Maybe he has now, but it's kind of late now to rebuttal it. But this is what Espinoza had to say about the fight. He says, stalling a Canelo fight so we can all sit in an arena and watch the MMA, was just insane. An insult to the sport, sure. But he said fans came to the MGM to watch boxing. If they wanted to watch MMA, they wouldn't have came. And that is so true. That is so true. This is what Coppinger said. DAZN received tremendous backlash for its decision to go with to begin Canelo following UFC, meaning the bout didn't, start till after 1 a.m. But they told DAZN subscription signups, but he's told that DAZN subscription signups and audience surge immediately following, basically like they made the right move is basically what they're saying in their press release, which is like, come on, dude. Now this is what Kovalev said. I was tired after round 6 because I had my last fight very close to this one, but it's okay. It's a new experience. But he said I didn't fully recover. I would have liked to got more time. And we all knew that might be a problem too. Are you ready to go, Portland? I want to make sure you get some time here. I might as well just go to you and check it out here. I'm going to go out to 503 Portland and catch up with them here and let him shut down the show. Portland, 503, man, you out there? You good, or are you at work and can't do it?
Yo, what up? Yo, what up, Chris? Hell yeah, I'm over here, brother. To talk boxing. We had a great weekend of boxing, man. Yeah, man. But, I'm here to talk, brother. How's it going, Chris?
It's going good, man. It's going really good. I figured you were there, but I just had to make sure, I knew you wouldn't miss this.
Nah, man. Hell no, bro. Man, first of all, man, I'm hearing so much conspiracy theories and shit, and, I thought I was a conspiracy theorist, man, but, shit, I don't know. All I can say is that Canelo won this shit, and the haters keep on hating. It don't matter to me, man. We got the win. That's what it's about. Call it fixed, whatever. That punch didn't look fixed to me, and I don't know. I did think it was a close fight going into that round. There was some slow moments, not gonna lie, but as far as them, as far as people saying, fixed and something wrong, I don't believe that. I believe 100% that Canelo trained his ass off. I 100% believe that he took the fight at the right time. We all know who Kovalev is. We've seen his fights. He's been knocked out before. So it's like, and plus he's at this age now. He's coming off that one fight with fucking what's his name, Yardy. So it's like, bro, just look at that fight. He got fucked up. He got messed up. He came in. I'm not gonna lie. He came into this fight, damaged. Damaged goods. So, Canelo was just there to fucking pick him apart and then just capitalize, and wait for that moment to fucking put him away. And, thank God he put him away, man, because we fucking needed a good closure. After fucking waiting almost 2 fucking hours for the UFC, and first of all, fuck the UFC and fuck MMA, because dude, ever since that bullshit happened with McGregor and Floyd, man, I picked sides and I stuck with boxing, man. And you know what I mean? I'm not going to be this casual MMA fan and, go talk MMA to anybody, bro. I don't talk that shit. So, I didn't want to talk. I didn't give a fuck about that main event. I didn't care anything about the UFC, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a boxing fan. I was waiting for that fucking fight to start, and November 2nd was for boxing. For me, for boxing only, man. And then what? I had to fucking wait to find out what the fuck happened in the UFC. What do I care about that belt, man? They made some bullshit belt. The Rock was there. Who the fuck cares? I didn't care, man. I'm here for boxing, dude. And they completely messed up. They completely fucked up. The DAZN should be ashamed of themselves for what happened on Saturday. People at fucking there live. Where was it was it at the MGM Grand or was it at the T-Mobile?
Yeah, it was at the MGM Grand. People went to watch boxing at the MGM Grand, paid a pretty penny, and then they had to wait there for 100 minutes and look up at the screen and hurt their neck trying to watch some shit they didn't even want to watch at the time.
Exactly, dude. I had to fucking watch that fucking bullshit, where it's like nothing, to me, none of that shit matters.
Don't get me wrong. I love Nate Diaz, too. It has nothing to do with him.
Yeah, definitely. I would 100% agree with you. The fight, if it was any other night where maybe a lesser fighter, I'm not going to lie, was fighting, I probably would have caught it. But, that night was for Canelo. I back up my Mexicans every time a Mexican fights, especially this one. I'm going to be there. I'm going to back them up. And the last thing I cared about that night was the fucking UFC Nate Diaz Masvidal fight. I didn't care. Even though I watched them and I respect both fighters, I didn't care. I didn't care about them. You know what I mean? I cared about Canelo. I cared about that whole card, man. I mean, even though it was all right. Obviously the undercard, was okay. I wouldn't say it was the greatest, but I wanted to watch it before the fucking UFC. Like anything before that, I wanted to watch it, and they completely 100% dropped the ball, and it made me just fucking cringe and really dislike the DAZN for their decision. I don't know whose decision it was. But I don't know, it just seemed like, seeing Canelo gloved up and seeing. Oh, okay. Yes, but I just, seeing Canelo gloved up and Kovalev gloved up and then Kovalev on the fucking couch and then Canelo kind of just on his feet, shadow boxing a little bit, and then it's just like, dude, get the fucking fight going, dude. I didn't buy the UFC. I don't care about it, dude. You know what I mean? Like, dude, to me, it's always boxing, man. And dude, they completely dropped the ball, and that's one thing that I think, that should be the talk about this fucking, about this night, not about the fight being fixed, or it should have been about fucking DAZN dropping this fucking ball, man. And that's what people should be really pissed about. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. That's my thing.
Just so you know, we're in the danger zone where sometimes it cuts off late, sometimes it cuts off early. Just so you know how that goes.
All right. Yeah, man, but as far as that, man, Canelo got the win. You know how it is. Los mexicanos tienen los más grandes huevos en el mundo. Tú ya sabes, Mexicanos all day. You know, Ryan Garcia did his thing. Esparza took a loss, but damn, she's a bad chick. You saw that, man, and you never want to get on her bad side, man, because she'll fuck you up. You know what I mean? Showing her skull, and man, she has guts, man. That's one thing I wanted to talk about and mention, that Marla Esparza, even though she lost, she showed true guts and a true Mexican warrior in her. Like, just damn, dude. Anybody would have quit. Anybody with that shot, 2 double headbutts there, man. Fuck that. I wouldn't have taken it, man. I would have gone home. Fuck that. Shit's on my skull, man. I'm going home. Well, fuck, man. But as far as that, man, Canelo did his thing. Now we got Andy Ruiz in December 7th, and, you know, it's boxing all day, every day. You know what I mean? So that's what it is, man. But thank you for having me on, Chris. Viva Rope-a-Dope, Viva Canelo, and Viva Andy Ruiz.
Like I said, we're in that moment where Keith knock us off, could not. We're going to find out here in the next couple of seconds. You know, enjoy the weekends, the fights this weekend. It actually looks like it's going to go a little longer